Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the Ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
I love it when a complicated situation can be explained so easily. Democrats don't understand the debt ceiling. Republicans don't understand the debt ceiling. Liberals never understand the debt ceiling. No one seems to understand the debt ceiling. So allow me to explain this morning. Let's say you come home one afternoon and find there has been a sewer backup in your neighborhood. Your home has sewage all the way up to your ceilings. What do you think you should do? Raise the ceiling or pump out all the sewage? Your choice is coming tomorrow and again in November. Don't miss the opportunity. Good morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith and God Bless America. Followed by a pledger on a Monday. Thank you very, very much, Kate Smith. Beautiful voice, wonderful lady. And God bless America, and I'm Zeb Bell. Good morning, Zeb at the Ranch, with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, along with some of our great advertisers, including Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley, and our friends at Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service today. Call Kelly and the crew at 734-6969. And now, we both had similar problems over the weekend that we'll talk about after the pledge a little bit. Good morning, Gina.
Good morning, sunshine, and how are you on this fine Monday?
Well, I am looking outside at a few wispy clouds passing by, but I'll guarantee you one thing, I'm excited about the rest of the week. Looks like we might get up in the 80s, and we'll have a weather forecast in a few minutes.
You got it, and it's going to be a beautiful day. A little bit breezy, but, not going to complain.
Oh, it was breezy yesterday.
Oh, yes, it was.
Do we have a pledger?
We have Mr. Al Butler on for the pledge.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Al Butler, if you would, please.
Okay, the answer to your question was, what do? You pump out the,
Don't go there, Al. Don't go there, Al.
All right, settle down.
All right.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Very well done as always, my dear friend. God bless you, and we'll see you at Lunch Bunch on Thursday.
Yeah, did you get to see our goat people?
Yeah, I did. Okay, my friend. God bless you. I'll talk to you later.
Okay.
Thank you. Oh, we got to do the weather forecast right now. Save on Shells with Anthony at 1835 Overland in Burley. What do you mean? You threw your fishing equipment, your groceries, and everything in the back of the pick-em-up truck, and, oh, gee, they blew out. Oh, my, somebody helped themselves. Well, get a shell. Get one of those camper shells for the back of your pickup from Save on Shells, 1835 Overland in Burley. I'll tell you more right after the weather forecast.
Looks like partly cloudy or partly sunny skies for today. Isolated thunderstorms throughout the afternoon. High's going to be right around 63. Winds out of the west right around 10 miles an hour. Now tonight, mostly cloudy. Slight chance of showers and thunderstorms in the evening. Low going to be right around 42. And we can actually expect that kind of weather throughout the week. Tomorrow going to be a high of 67. Wednesday, 40% chance of rain showers and a high of 65. But as we get closer to the weekend, looks like it's going to be warming up. up.
Love it. Sounds good. So did the weather forecast. Thank you very much. Save on Shells, 1835 Overland and Burley. And Anthony's got a whole bunch of new ARE shells, many, many different models, and, of course, used shells. My goodness, they've got a great selection of used shells and installation parts and service. These folks at Save on Shells know camper shells, believe me, and they've got just what you're looking for. How do I know? I bought one from Save on Shells, 1835 Overland and Burley. Call them 312-1525. Hey, by the way, we've got a lot of things to take care of this morning as it's the last day prior to the election tomorrow. And don't forget Ken Menzel for Minidoka County Sheriff. Vote tomorrow, May 20th. And he wants to enforce the law based on respect for individual rights and a commitment to the safety of each citizen and maintain high ethical and performance standards for himself and the entire staff. Don't forget tomorrow, vote for Ken Menzel for Minidoka County Sheriff. He wants your vote May 20th, paid for by Elaine Stevenson, Treasurer. Now, I want to set the record straight on something here this morning. We had somebody call me last week and said, well, gee, you run a lot of those ads almost within 15 or 20 minutes with each other. Yeah, I know I do. Listen, when you've got a 3-hour program, and you've got some of these candidates running 4, 5, and 6 times per program, it's pretty hard to separate them and isolate them so that you don't get crossed messages. Can't help it, folks. That's the name of the game. As a matter of fact, I was listening to another station the other day, and I was just kind of picking up on what they were doing, and they ran, this was really interesting, and Gina, if you're there, you can pick up on this. They ran a Smith and a Simpson ad back to back.
Ooh, ouch. At least you put them in the different stop sets. But yeah, once we get into the political season and we are running 16 minutes of commercials an hour, it's unavoidable.
Absolutely. Thank you. And by the way, I'm going to do this commercial. Gina and I suffered through a similar disturbance over the weekend. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Don't forget, SafeLink Internet, been around for 16 years and counting right here in the state of Idaho. And believe me, they offer fast, reliable service. I know they do. They've got a track record to prove it. And I am one of their favorite spokesmen because I believe in what they do. It's really helped our business. And go to their website, safelinkinternet.com, or give them a call, 677-8000. Idaho's number one choice for internet service, SafeLink Internet, the best. Oh, and by the way, when you say the words the best, that means that you have to mention our friends at Daryl's Cleaners, absolutely the best, because they've got prepaid gift cards. That'd be a great gift to give somebody. And they can take their clothes in there, their tablecloths, their drapes, whatever, and get them all cleaned and looking brand spanking new. Absolutely. Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. You stop in and see them today. Really, really nice folks. The old lock your keys in the vehicle routine plagued us both this weekend.
Apparently, yes, it did. Yesterday, as a matter of fact, and it was quite comical. And, of course, I was detailing out my car. You were out and about doing your thing, and we both lost our keys in our car.
My thing was I was over at Dave Zanino's, and I was loading up some steers in my trailer and backed up to the loading area and left the motor running naturally in the pickup. And it was, at that time, it was blowing and raining yesterday afternoon. And my wife and I got out to help load the steers and shut the trailer doors, and Ruby the dog decided to lock us out.
She was excited. She wanted to see what you were doing, so she got up on the windows and click.
I got about maybe 4.5, 5 feet away from the door walking back to the pickup, and you hear the sound of, like you just said, click, and it doesn't register real fast. I took another step, and then I went, oh, darn, or words to that effect.
Mine was kind of similar, of course, detailing out my car, getting it ready to sell. And I was moving from the driver's seat into the rear passenger seat in the back. And so I get out and I close the door and I go to open up the back door and it won't open. And I look inside the car and there are my keys sitting in the ignition. And so I said some similar words.
Oh, darn.
Yes.
And if you can believe that Gina and I said, oh, darn, we have oceanfront property for sale in Hutchinson, Kansas.
You know it. So what I had to do, of course, luckily you had a friend who was able to help you because your window was rolled down.
Just a little bit, yeah.
Well, see, mine, they were up, locked tight, and so thankfully my brother has a key to my car, and so, bless his heart, he had to drive from Rupert to the Jerome shop just so I could get back into my car.
Now, here was my fear. The window in the back, I've got an extended cab, and the window is down just about maybe at the most 3 inches. And big 6'4" Dave said, well, I can climb up on the side of your truck and maybe get my arm down in there. And my biggest fear was that doggone Ruby would hit the button on the windows and chop his arm off.
Well, at least she didn't. She didn't. I think probably she knew the direness of the situation, and so she backed off.
You know, it's really interesting, too, because on the way home, she sat in the back seat, and there wasn't any of this moving around or anything. It was just kind of a glassy-eyed stare at me 24/7 till we got home.
Oh, well, she knew she was in trouble.
Oh, you're not kidding. Anyway, this Thursday, we're going to have lunch bunch. Gina, you're invited. Don't forget it at Denny's Restaurant, 611 Overland and Burley, and it's going to be a dandy deal. Every time we have lunch bunch over at Denny's, we always look forward to it. The best in eating. Oh, boy, I love that menu. Love that menu. And the best in service. I mean, they really take care of all of us. Not just us, but all of us. Anybody that goes in there, they really get great service. And the seniors, of course, special menus and AARP discounts. Man alive, Thomas really has a going thing there at Denny's Restaurant, 611 Overland and Burley. And we've got door prizes, too, from Walmart and Smith's Food King and Hanson Mortuary. It's going to be the deal this Thursday, and that's Zeb's Lunch Bunch at Denny's Restaurant. We got a lot of things to cover this morning, and tomorrow, of course, is Election Day. Don't make any excuses. Get out and vote. For the last 4 years, Joe Larson has worked tirelessly for Cassia County as county clerk. I really enjoyed that conversation we had with him last week on the air. And with nearly 35 years' experience as a businessman in Mini-Cassia area, Joe is a solid advocate for the taxpayer, and he believes local government should operate frugally and responsibly. And he wants your vote tomorrow. As a matter of fact, in 2014, Joe submitted and the commissioners approved a budget that cut spending by the largest amount in recent years. Cassia County benefits from consistent and experienced leadership. Tomorrow, May 20th, re-elect Joe Larson for Cassia County Clerk. Paid for by the Re-elect Joe Larson Committee. All right. Also, real quick, I want to remind everybody about Valleywide Home and Ranch, your local home and ranch store. Valleywide Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. And they've got new chicken. Well, I guess there's no such thing as an old chicken arriving. Well, unless it's an old one in a wheelchair or whatever. But a new batch of chickens arrive every Tuesday at Valleywide Home and Ranch. And they got all the feed, water dishes, houses, fencing, anything you need. And fair time is right around the corner, too. And they've got all your 4-H feed needs, everything you 4-Hers need for your projects right there at Valleywide Home and Ranch. Along with all the folks that are into gardening, they've got your fertilizer, tools, equipment, everything at Valleywide Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. Really good folks. You stop in and see them today at Valleywide Home and Ranch. Let's see, what else have we got?
Call, young man.
I have a telephone call. I didn't hear my cow.
Yes. I've moved you twice.
Oh, well, maybe her alfalfa clogged up her noise or something. I don't know. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb.
Yes, sir.
I've had many similar situations of locking keys in vehicles, a lot of them, and I'm kind of pretty handy with a Slim Jim.
I'm scared. Now, I've heard reports, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, Riley, but I've heard reports that when you use those Slim Jims, you can really damage the electronical system of the windows and the doors. Is that true?
Yeah, if you don't know, if you go in there and just grab and rip, you're going to rip wires out of electric motors and tear wires in half. If you go in there and feel around, and it's metal, so you can feel kind of a little bit of tension here and there. And there's a certain thing you got to do when you get a hold of it to see if it's the right one. Just grab it and rip up, or sometimes they slide forward and backwards instead of lifting up.
Well, I had
and grab whatever you feel and pull on it. Yeah, you're going to rip something up.
Okay.
it can be done without tearing things up. I've done it quite a few times.
Well, I tell you, somebody said, naturally they called me and they said, well, Zeb, why don't you carry a spare key in your billfold? And I have a response for that. I do, but I didn't have my billfold in my Wranglers yesterday. So I didn't have the spare key.
Why don't you put a hide key under your pickup?
I don't trust those things.
So many of them that it don't do any good.
All right, well, Riley, I'll tell you what, I'm going to go down and have 37 keys made today, and I guarantee you it won't happen again. Thank you very much. I appreciate your call. God bless. Oh, yeah, it's embarrassing to have that happen, but Ruby the dog is enjoying her morning, and I'm sitting here, so we made it home. Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Don't forget they've got all the incandescent light bulbs, and they've got the outside lighting and the CFL bulbs, all the cords, cord ends, fuses, everything you need electrical right there with the professionals that deal in this every day, and they can help you. Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, and they always provide warm winters and cool summers at Ramsey Heating and Electric. You stop in and see those good folks today. Absolutely good folks. Hey, Gina, if you don't mind, could we have that good word for Congressman Mike Simpson? And we'll be right back.
Brian Smith collected millions from Idaho's vulnerable, veterans, and the disabled. But where else does Smith get money?
We literally put all those checks in an envelope and send them to Brian, and so he gets a big envelope with a lot of money in it, which is probably a good day for him.
So Smith is beholden to a Washington special interest group that's against the Farm Bill. The same Washington special interest group that would kill jobs at Idaho National Laboratory and cut funding for firefighters who we entrust to protect our land, our property, and our lives. It's no surprise that Brian Smith puts Washington special interest groups ahead of Idaho, because Brian Smith is out for himself, not you.
I'm Mike Simpson, and I approve this message, paid for by Simpson for Congress.
Thank you very much. And right now, also, don't forget, Chris Jensen for Minidoka County Sheriff, 24 years law enforcement, ethical and honest, experienced and dedicated, and very financially accountable, believes in security for our schools, zero tolerance for drugs and gangs, and 24 years of law enforcement, as I mentioned. Wants to bring new leadership, a new vision, and a new direction to the Minidoka County Sheriff's Office. Once again, tomorrow on May 20th, elect Chris Jensen for Minidoka County Sheriff, paid for by the citizens. For Chris Jensen, Barbara Jensen, Treasurer. All right, your turn. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'd like to hear what you have to say, so give us a jingle on the landline. The VA, Veterans Administration, I believe, is in a complete mess and disarray. Now, I want to preface my remarks. I had some people call me, and they were saying that, gee whiz, Zeb, wait a minute, the VA in Boise and everything, we're getting good treatment. Fine. That's fine. I'm glad to hear that, and I will salute them. But it's not the case across the country. As a matter of fact, another whistleblower has stepped forward this morning in Fort Collins, Colorado, and said it is not fair what's happening to the vets under her care. And she says that she had received a 2-week suspension, told that if she made the remarks public, that would be it for her. But if she rescinded her remarks and went back to work like a good girl, they would wipe the slate clean and nobody would be the wiser. And she says, no, I can't do that. I can't do that. The veterans need the care, and they're not getting the care. And so she's coming out as a whistleblower, and I think it's great. Whether it's Arizona, whether it's Colorado, whether it's Chicago, Illinois, it doesn't make any difference. Our vets should be treated number one. They have put their lives on the line, fighting for this country and for others. They have been promised. They have been issued an allocation of things that would be done to them and for them when they came back from their military service, and to treat them less is a crime. And I tell you something else that's a crime this morning is VA Secretary Shinseki. You know, he got on his soapbox last week and said, quote, he was mad as hell for the treatment of our veterans. What good did that do? Really, what good did that do to have lip service saying, "Oh, I'm mad as hell"? Well, anybody can say that after they've been caught not doing their job. And this man from the top down needs to go. Adios, amigo. Don't let the doorknob hit you in the posterior on the way out. And they need to start at the top, not at the bottom, not with some mediocrity, not with somebody that really doesn't matter, not with somebody that doesn't make the decisions. Get rid of the people top down and restructure the way this thing's being run and run it right. And then what really bothers me, and I will do anything to help our veterans, anything. What really bothers me is that many VA officials actually receive bonus money. Bonus money. And our vets not getting the treatment that was promised them. That is a crime. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Also, I've got to remind you about our friends. Let me see. I got to find my spot. What did I do with my spot? Barry Equipment and Rental. Holy moly. Deanne, it's gone. I can't find my spot. Here it is. I found it. Never mind. That was lost is now found. Barry Equipment and Rental. We had a good remark from Nick last week. He was on our program talking about all the loaders, the Doosan loaders and excavators, and the Coyote tractors and all the Bobcats they've got over at the Burley location. Same is true for the one in Twin and also Jerome. Holy smokes, have they got equipment for lease and or purchase. You better stop in and see them today. And as far as I know, they've still got applications available for mechanics. They're looking for 3 really good mechanics. So my goodness, don't complain there's no jobs. They've got competitive pay, good benefits, fun place to work. Barry Equipment and Rental in Twin Falls, Jerome, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. We was watching TV last night, and they had a panel on. There was 3 men. I don't remember who they were. But the one suggested, and I go for it. He says, give every vet the same insurance that the congressmen have.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I can't argue that. I just cannot understand how, and it just rips my heart out to think that veterans are coming back and not getting the care, not getting the surgeries, not getting the medicine, not getting what they need for PTSD, and being put in waiting lists that go on for months. There's no excuse for that. There is no excuse for that, and heads should be rolling.
Absolutely none. They need to have the same thing that the congressmen have.
Well, either that or take it away from the congressman, because these are benefits that absolutely were promised to help them enlist in a volunteer military. And if we're not going to honor our commitments to our servicemen, what about these young people going now out of high school, maybe 18 years of age, and look towards perhaps a career with educational availability in the military, and now all of a sudden, all of these mishaps that are happening to our vets and not honoring commitments, why should they sign up?
Well, not only that, but why sign up anyway? They're guaranteed no wages or any benefits, no nothing.
Yeah, I'm very concerned about the abilities and the capabilities of our military right now, and especially under the Obama administration. Helen, it's always good to hear from you, and I'll get a chance to probably sit next to you on Thursday.
Well, honey, if you do, you're going to have a good time. Talk to you later.
Okay, thank you. Oh, Travel Loop Supply, our good buddy Jim McCall. Nobody better than old Jim, I'll tell you what. Filter cleaning, they can clean your air filters. Holy smokes. They've got all your sprayer parts, and he was talking about that last week at a really reduced price. All you got to do is tell him you heard it right here on my program. And, of course, all the bolts and the tools and the oil. What are you waiting for? Give them a call, 438-8730. Travel Loop Supply, 1050 West, 203 South of Hayburn. They deliver the goods. Travel Loop Supply. Time for the Capital Press Ag Minute, brought to you by Lennox Home Comfort Systems. Whether it's a gas furnace, air conditioner, or a heat pump, your family will enjoy the comfort through our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Here's the Capital Press Ag Minute.
Today's Ag Minute brought to you by the Capital Press, the West Ag Weekly. With prices for feeder calves topping $180 per hundredweight, and with the U.S. cow herd estimated at 29 million, the lowest it's been in 60 or 70 years, ranchers everywhere are facing the tough choice of retaining heifers to build their herd or selling to take advantage of today's high prices. More often than not, sources say, ranchers are opting to retain cows. Keeping back heifers holds the promise of big returns in 3 to 5 years, provided prices hold up, and all indications are that they will, sources say. As of May 9th, stocker calves are bringing $218.88 a hundredweight, feeder cattle $180.50 a hundredweight, and bred cows are bringing $2,060 a head. For the Capital Press Ag Minute, this is Brandon Tenner.
For more agriculture news and information, turn to the West Ag Weekly, the Capital Press, and CapitalPress.com.
Thank you very much, Lennox Home Comfort Systems, through Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Caller, I'll be right there. Don't go away. Once again, Ken Menzel from Minidoka County Sheriff. Vote tomorrow, May 20th. And Ken Menzel says actively seeking cooperation between all local law enforcement agencies for maximum crime prevention and enforcement results, and wants to ensure that everyone's voice is heard. Don't forget, tomorrow, the big day, May 20th. Vote for Ken Menzel for Minidoka County Sheriff, paid for by Elaine Stevenson, Treasurer. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. How are you this morning?
Not too bad. What can I do for you?
Well, you know, this stuff all going on with our veterans, we ought to be bowing our heads in shame. And you've got to admire these young people right out of high school, knowing that they could go into a war that we're not ever going to win, in my opinion, and then to come back and not get the treatment that they deserve. We have so many injuries and brain injuries and loss of limbs, and it's just disgusting what this administration is doing.
How can you look a parent or parents or family members in the eye if you work for the VA, you're a doctor, whatever, administrator, and they tell some of these guys, as has been documented, come back in 3, 4, 5 weeks, or call us in a month or 2 months or whatever. And what really hurts me to say is that right now the suicide rate is up so high when they have no hope and they're taking their life into their own hands, literally. It's such a sad state of affairs, and the ambiguity, the falseness that Shinseki displayed last week when he said, quote, he was mad as hell. Hey, listen, you've been at the helm of the VA long enough to make sure these problems are corrected. You haven't done your job. He ought to be bounced out. Obama should have been thrown out a long time ago. I have no love lost for this president or this administration, and I find it sickening that our soldiers that have fought for this country and for others are being treated like second and third class citizens.
Oh, I'm totally right there with you. I don't understand why Congress and Senate and the House has not done something about it. You know, if they're so afraid to do their job, get the heck out of there and we'll find somebody who will. Our veterans deserve better than what they're getting. The military as a whole deserves better than they're getting.
Absolutely, and I'll tell you something, you and George and everybody else that I work with the POW, MIA, and everything our military stands for, I absolutely will never back up. I will never apologize. I will never be forced into a situation to where my voice isn't going to be heard, because I'll guarantee you, I am pro-veteran, I am pro-military, and for these absolute sleazes like Shinseki and others, and it goes right to the top in this administration, to treat our veterans this way, it's appalling and it's absolutely a crime.
You know, and we thank you so much for everything you do for us and our program, Zeb. I can't imagine those people looking themselves in the mirror every goddamn morning and saying, oh, I'm proud of the job I'm doing. Because, you know what, none of them have done their job, and they need to be the hell out of there, pardon me.
I agree. Donna, thank you very much. I appreciate your call. Thank you.
You betcha. Have a great day.
Thank you. Caller number 2, I'll be with you in a moment. You realize, of course, we are loaded with all kinds of political announcements, so just hang in there. I'll be right there. Don't you dare hang up. Scott Bedke, Speaker of the House and representative from District 27, urges you to go vote tomorrow on May 20th. Scott is very concerned for Idaho and its growth and prosperity, and he's also concerned, rightfully so, about the future of the United States of America. So exercise your patriotic duty and vote tomorrow, May 20th, paid for by Speaker and Representative Scott Bedke of Oakley, District 27. Also, I want to remind everybody that Brad Little wants your vote for re-election. Brad Little for Lieutenant Governor. Idaho is an example of what conservative governance looks like, and Idaho reflects the work ethics and values others crave, and that's why we need to keep Brad Little as Idaho's Lieutenant Governor. Idaho rancher, small businessman, and he wants to help Idaho raise incomes and create jobs. And yes, there's a lot more work to do, but Brad has rolled up his sleeves and said, let's get to work. Brad Little for Lieutenant Governor. Vote tomorrow, May 20th, paid for by Senator Dean Cameron to re-elect Lieutenant Governor Brad Little. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Zeb. You just tried missing a welfare payment to someone that's on welfare already and driving a brand new vehicle. And here we've got veterans that are missing arms and legs, and they're being treated like cattle. You know, what's going on here? We've got a friend of ours whose son lost both legs and part of his arm, and we're going to try to get something going. He's in Texas right now, and we're going to try to get something going. I don't know what we can do, but to help this guy when he comes back.
Isn't it?
They're not healthy people.
You know.
And this thing just really upsets the hell out of me.
Well, it should. It should. It should upset everybody. Everybody, seriously, should be sending messages, emails, calls back to the headquarters of the VA and to the Congressman, Simpson and Labrador, our senators, Crapo and Risch, and they should be saying, hey, what's going on with the VA? We want a complete detailed report from your office as to what can be done, how we can clean it up, what kind of a broom we need to use, and what kind of a trash can we need to put these people in to get this thing fixed.
They've got enough money to support all these people that are coming into the country with no jobs. We're giving them Medicaid, food stamps, welfare, and everything, and we don't have it. These guys have kept us safe for years, these guys in the military.
And ladies.
What's going to happen when they finally throw their hands up, or these younger generations, what good does it do for us to go join the military and try to save our country when it's going down the tube?
I couldn't agree more. Tony, stay mad. Stay mad. Stay focused like everyone should, because we've got a mess in this country that absolutely is deserving of a cleanup. And I'm never going to change my attitude that this administration in particular, with the mess with the VA, the mess with the economy, the mess with the military, the mess with the world respect that we no longer have, all of this goes right to the top, and that's Obama himself. And until we rectify that problem, we are going to stay in a world of hurt.
Well, I'll be in touch with you because we're going to need some advice about how to get something going.
All right, Tony, God bless you, man. Appreciate your call. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bill Baker is seeking first term as Jerome County Commissioner for District 1, and this man with a 35-year career with the BLM held the position of Twin Falls District Manager, and he was responsible for the annual budgets of over $20 million. He believes in keeping budgets lean and balanced, and that's a benefit to the folks in Jerome County. And believe me, he has the time to obligate and the ability to serve the residents of Jerome County with objective and educated views, and he wants your vote tomorrow. Bill Baker seeking first term as Jerome County Commissioner for District 1, paid for by Bill Baker for Jerome County Commissioner. Also, I want to remind you that Eric Snar is asking for your vote tomorrow for a re-election to the Minidoka County Sheriff. Leadership that listens, he says. A Gulf War veteran, 18 years law enforcement, and he pledges to the citizens of Minidoka County to make the county and the communities within Minidoka County a safe place to live, work, and raise families. Once again, Eric Snar, Sheriff of Minidoka County, asking for your vote tomorrow for re-election to Minidoka County Sheriff, paid for by Jason Gibbons, Treasurer. All right, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'd like to hear what you have to say. There is no excuse. I don't think anybody can come up with an excuse that is viable, one that has reasoning, as to why our military and our veterans are not being treated first class. First class. Money? No, don't give me that. We waste money, millions and millions, to study shrimp on a treadmill. Millions of dollars to give to that idiocy. And that's what it is idiocy. Those millions, had they been doled out to the VA, look at the benefits that could have done. Look at the help that would have provided. Look at perhaps the wheelchairs, the walkers, the crutches, everything else that would have done for human good. But we have a government right now that is obsessed with wasting money. Wasting money. And not on human beings. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Jeb, I've been watching that fiasco on the TV for the last, since I just quit the VA, because I wasn't getting the care that they were promised and nothing else. And to see these people suffering like they are, then to have a president stand there at a memorial service and say, we'll take care of our veterans to the best of our ability. That's a bunch of horse pucking, and you know it.
Al, why has this president been allowed, and this is kind of a far-reaching question in different aspects, so bear with me. Why has he been allowed to lie, cheat, and steal to the American public? After Benghazi, we're going to get a hold of the people that did this, and we're going to bring them to justice. With the study into the IRS, we'll find out what happened, and we'll make sure the problems are rectified. Whatever is said by this man is never followed up on, and same is true with the VA. How come people aren't held accountable?
Well, some of this is going on. I was in during when Bush was in his last 4 years. That's when I quit him, because Salt Lake wasn't doing it. Pocatello started screwing up. And I didn't want to go to Bush, so I just quit and come back to my private doctor, and thank God I did, or I'd be dead right now.
The point is, Al, it doesn't make any difference as to when the problem started or how long it's been exacerbated. It's got to be corrected, and if Shinseki is not a good secretary of the VA, get rid of him, Al. Start from the top.
That's right. I've never seen an officer in the Army yet that knew where in the hell to put a thermometer.
Amen. I can't even add to that. Al, God, I appreciate your call as always. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you. I just don't understand why these are sacred cows in office. Get rid of them. If they're not doing the job, they're not making the money, they're not saving the money, they're not utilizing the various resources to conduct their business in an efficient manner, out they go, just like they would be in the private sector. Caller, please bear with me just a minute. I'll be right with you. Lee Hyder, Senator for District 24. The best always stand the test. And Idaho Senator Lee Hyder is one of the best, and he wants your vote tomorrow on May 20th for a man that's devoted to Idaho and you. He's been on my program many, many times. Diligent perseverance to author the Right to Hunt, Fish, and Trap Amendment that will serve Idahoans for many future generations. Vote for Lee Hyder, Senator District 24, paid for by Lee Hyder for Senate District 24. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, good morning, Zeb. Unfortunately, because of business, I haven't been able to hear much of your program. But, the veterans have been just totally ignored after every war, World War I, Vietnam, you name it. The veterans always come home and supposedly heroes in defending our freedoms, and they get the short end of the stick all the way around.
Why? Why?
They're forgotten when it comes to taking care of them once they get home.
Why, Adrian? Why are we allowing this to happen? Is it because we're not being vocal enough? Is it because you and I and everybody else isn't standing outside the doors, clamoring and waving placards and beating our fists on the door? Why? Why is it happening?
I don't know, but you've seen those films, I'm sure, of the World War I vets that set up a tent camp on the mall, and Hoover and FDR both sent in the the forces and burned their camps down and killed some of our war vets. I mean, you don't think that the federal government won't turn against its own citizens when it turns against its own vets? And look at the fiasco after Vietnam. And even now, look at the veteran thing there. I mean, it's really outrageous. And the fact they try to hide all this stuff makes it even worse.
There you go. Now, right there, Dr. Arp, you hit the nail on the head. The fact that they tried a massive cover-up. That is what offends me more than anything. Had they been open and honest and said, we're backlogged, we don't have enough help, we're not getting these people taken care of, I think the American public would have jumped up and said, okay, let's work this problem out. But to lie, to hide files, basically put people out of the system, and they didn't get the care, they died, or many committed suicide. That is such a crime. It's absolutely a heinous crime, and this from the top. Shinseki and everybody should be bounced out on their butts.
Well, absolutely. I just wanted, in terms of our education, there's only one of the state superintendent of public instruction. His name is E-Y-N-O-N. I don't know how you pronounce it exactly. He's the only one against Common Core. The other three candidates for separate superintendent of public instruction are still for Common Core. And you've been reading the articles about it and studying about it. He's the only one that's openly come out. The rest of them are just going to go along to get along with the system.
I appreciate your comments on that, and believe me, I'm putting together some Common Core material over the next couple of weeks. We're going to have some really interesting segments on math, and I really do want to get you back involved in this. Adrian, I got to run and do a weather forecast. Thank you so much. Thank you.
But, everybody get out and vote. It's really sad. Only 24%, usually 1 out of 4 people vote in the primary, and this is in this state. The primary is the general election. So, folks, I hear this from a lot of people. They say, well, I don't vote in the primary. Folks, you won't have a choice. Once the primary is over, this is the time to make that choice and get out and vote.
All right, Adrian, well said. Thank you very much. It's time for the weather, and I've got the weather forecast in just a moment, brought to you by Riverview Urgent Care and Medical Center, 382 North Overland in Burley. Minor emergencies, major care. That's right. Whether it's a headache, a sinus infection, breaks, sprains, strains, cuts, rashes, sore throats, everyday illnesses and injuries, they can help you. The doctor will see you now, not in 4 or 5 days. Riverview Urgent Care and Medical Center. Here now, our weather.
Looks like partly sunny skies for today. Isolated thunderstorms, and it's going to be a little bit breezy as we move into the afternoon hours. Expect a high of 63 for today. Tonight, mostly cloudy. Slight chance of showers and thunderstorms in the evening. Low right near 42. Currently sitting at 48 degrees here at KBAR Studios.
Hey, well done, Gina, fearless prognosticator of the elements. Thank you. Brought to you by Riverview Urgent Care and Medical Center, 382 North Overland in Burley, 678-6996. Minor emergencies, major care. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget, again, Lennox Home Comfort Systems, gas furnaces, air conditioners, and heat pumps, right through our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Gina, turn your mic back on and come back here for a second. I want to ask you a question. Are you there?
Yep, and we've got a phone call for you.
All right, I'm going to take the phone call, and I want to come back and see if you think my opinion on something is wrong. I want you to kind of criticize me a little bit, okay? Stand by. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Morning, Jeb.
Yes, sir.
We talked to you before about my experiences with the Veterans Administration. I go and see them probably about once a month, and it used to be that within about 6 years ago, before then, I could get in there and get my appointments. They were a couple months out sometimes. I've had some deals with my heart, and they've taken care of it. And it took a little bit of time. But now, last 6 years, my doctors have to pull nails, it seems like, to even be able to get to see me because there's just no time. It's kind of like they don't have enough time to see all the patients they get pushed with, and then they cut their time back down here in Flint. They cut that Friday. You can't work that day. So it's been my experience.
All right, I tell you what, I pray for you and hope everything goes better, and for all of our veterans. And thank you for sharing that with us this morning. Have a good day, sir, and thank you again. We appreciate that. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, Zeb, locally, at the VA, I couldn't ask for better care. They've caught cancer in me twice, and when I go for my physicals and everything, they do a bang job. They cover everything.
All right, but Fred, the point we're making is, and I said it earlier, and I think you'll agree with me, there are problems in other regions of the country, and I'm not about to sit back and say nothing.
I agree with that. What's happening in other places is terrible.
And you know, you folks, and when I put you folks together, the ones that fought for our flag, the red, white, and blue, our freedoms, and future generations, you do not have anything but first-class treatment coming. If you were promised those benefits, there shouldn't be anything that stands in their way. And God bless you for speaking out. God bless you for serving this country, but no one should be put on the back burner because of the VA's problems.
Well, I agree with that totally. You know that, and I know in other areas they have been terrible. They have been treated terrible, set on the back burner, never got in, and all of that. But I just wanted to make a point locally. How I have been treated.
Let me ask you this, Fred, from your experience, and give me a short answer on this because I'm short on time. What would be the best thing to do? Start with Shinseki, the secretary, and just say, right on down the line, we're going to get new people in there that are business automated, that they can, or orientated, I should say, that they can come in and start cleaning house. What's the best thing to do?
Well, they've got to clean house.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, you bet. They've got to clean house. They got to change this thing. It can't keep happening.
Absolutely, Fred. Good to hear from you, my dear friend. I hope we can see you at Lunch Bunch on Thursday. God bless you. Have a good day. Okay.
Gonna try to make it.
All right, buddy. Thank you so much. There's a man I really admire. He's one of my best friends, Fred Preston. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, the VA deal. They do need to start and clean the house completely. But most all of our problems, you can tie it right into incumbents. They get back there, they get embedded, and they like that power, and that's what they keep doing. They're not back there working for the individual. They're back there helping themselves.
I think, honestly, what you said is a lot of truth. You would be better off, once you get a job with a federal government, whether it's the VA or whatever, it's doggone hard to get rid of absolute dead wood. And right now, I'd start with Shinseki. I'd start with Shinseki. I'd appoint a private committee to go and study the VA and find out who's the dead wood and who are the good people. I'd find out why these cases are backlogged, but they've got to do something. And for this guy to sit there on television last Friday and say that he's mad as hell, hey, listen, sir, he's known about these problems for a long time. How come he wasn't mad enough to do anything about it?
Well, it's no different than our senators and congressmen. Obama should have been impeached a long time ago. And do you see Idaho senators or congressmen doing anything? There's two of them that is worth their salt back there, and that's about it. And one of them is Trey Gowdy.
I can't argue that. As a matter of fact, I think you and I have formed a bond of friendship on that one. I agree with you. God bless you for your call, and have a good day, sir. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. He's mentioned a name right there, and I'm very much in accord with what he said. I am impressed unless something happens, or I read something or hear something that's validated to negate my feelings about Trey Gowdy. But there's a guy from North Carolina that I absolutely think has got a lot of go. A lot of get up and go. A lot of, hey, I don't care, I'll punch them in the eye if they need it. And that's the attitude he has to have. He's not worried about making friends. He's not worried about keeping friends. And he's certainly after the truth so far, until he proves different. Caller, I'll be right there. Stand by. Don't forget, the Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you with the best tire value promise in the industry. That's right. The best in tires like the Ultra Z900, outstanding tread life, smooth quality, quiet ride. Oh, boy, you're going to love that for your cars. Boy, they've got them in stock and waiting for you. And, of course, the best in brake service, the best in front-end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries. The best in service with free peace-of-mind tire protection at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers with Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, John on Poline and Twin, and Randy, my old buddy, right there on Overland and Burley, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb.
Yes, sir.
I heard somebody mention something the other day about the veterans. And by the way, I've been going to the Boise VA for 20-some years, and I have nothing to say bad about them. They are really a good facility. But what the person said was they should just forget the VA, give the veterans, the disabled veterans or what have you, a card and let them go to a civilian doctor or go to their own doctor, and they would save a lot of money, and they wouldn't have federal government looking down their noses all the time.
Dwayne, I'm almost out of time, and I want to ask you a question real quick and give me a short response. Why couldn't that be done as far as maybe option material for these military people coming back in case the doctor's not qualified, in case they're not getting the work or the help, that they could get that kind of a card or a response to go to a private doctor to make sure they're taken care of? What's the hang up there, real quick?
Well, regulations, that's all it is. My doctor at the VA seen that I needed a kidney transplant. He's seen where I was headed. He's retired now, I can tell you this. He, seeing what was coming up, he says, can I suggest something to you? And I says, what's that? He says, go to this certain doctor. It was a doctor.
Quickly. I've got 10 seconds, Dwayne, fast. Oh, boy.
And let's come on the air.
Okay, am I back on? It sounds a little wobbly and warbly, but I want to say to Dwayne, I did not cut you off. I was cut off totally, and we're going to call back Gina and try it again on a different line, and we're going to go to the news. Pardon me?
I said you sound fine here.
You're coming through terribly warbly. I can't hardly hear a word you're saying all of a sudden, so I'll try it again and see if we can't clean up the line. Ladies and gentlemen, news next from ABC. I'll be right back. Oh, my. Gina, am I going to go back on, or is there no ABC News?
Well, there was ABC News, but I hit the wrong button and jumped right out of it. So consider this a bonus.
Oh.
Because you kind of got gypped out of a couple minutes, so you get to go on air.
Oh, I am so sorry, because I was sitting here visiting with Deanne, and all of a sudden over in the background, I thought I heard music playing, and I apologize. I didn't know.
No, it's kind of not normal timing, and so normally you could have been chit-chatting, but due to a human malfunction.
It was a malfunction at the junction.
You have no idea, buddy. Actually, you do. So.
No, don't worry about that. I'm just sorry I kept you waiting, but we are back, Zeb at the Ranch, and we're brought to everybody by our Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations. And, of course, I'm Zeb Bell, along with some of our great advertisers, Lee's Furniture, Floors, and more at 459 Overland and Burley, and our friends at Western Waste Services. Let's hear the good word.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and improvements. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal. Western Waste Services.
Western Way Services, thank you very much, and they're located in Twin Falls and Jerome, 734-6969, with all the reunions and the family gatherings and everything coming up for this summer. Don't forget, they've got all the porta potties. They are always at your disposal. And if you're cleaning out the house and the garage, whatever, they've got all the dumpsters in various sizes for you. All you got to do is call them. They'll give you all the information, 734-6969. Western Way Services, always at your disposal. Also, I want to remind everybody about Vicky's Country Garden. Don't forget, we have Gardening for Idiots every Thursday at 9:12 right here on Zeb at the Ranch. And Vicky's Country Gardens for all your country garden needs. You better believe it. They've got everything, all the plants and the flowers, everything in the knowledge at 185 South, 600 West of Paul. Vicky's Country Gardens. Really nice folks. And ladies and gentlemen, to Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert with our friend, manager, owner, Joel Heward. And Joel is also very supportive of our lunch bunch on Thursdays. Thank you very much. Hanson Mortuary, a family place with flexible hours, and they're there when you need them. That's absolutely the truth. If you can't get into the office, they will come to you to the rural towns and churches to help you with all the arrangements. Highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity, and they know that it's a very trying time when there's the passing of a loved one. They are there to serve you. Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. Number to call, 436-5636. Really nice people. By the way, too, before we get to our guest, I want to remind you, Ken Menzel from Minidoka County Sheriff wants your vote on tomorrow, May 20th. And don't forget, maintaining the highest ethical and performance standards for himself and the entire staff, and promoting a culture within the Sheriff's Office of hard work, integrity, and service that creates a safer environment for the residents and guests to live in Minidoka County. Ken Menzel for Minidoka County Sheriff, May 20th. Don't forget, paid for by Elaine Stevenson, Treasurer. I think at this time we're going to go to the phone lines, and I believe we're all set to go. And by the way, Dwayne, if you're still listening, again, I want to apologize. Not my fault, not Gina's fault, but the wonderful phone systems cutting us off just prior to the news at ABC, and we were not rude. We did not cut you off, but our whole program was cut off. So back on the program right now, and a dear, dear friend of mine from Golden, Colorado is on the phone. Let's say good morning to Frosty Woolridge. Good morning, Frosty. How are you?
Well, good morning, Zeb, and good morning to everyone listening today. It's a happy Monday, and springtime has definitely made it into the Rockies, and I know it's making it into Idaho and the Northwest there. So let's look forward to those new spring shoots. It's nice to see the sun shining and the warm weather coming in.
Hey, by the way, I got to say this before we get really serious. Yesterday marked a almost first for the entire season. The Cubs won 2 games in a row. I think that's worth a hallelujah.
That's a hallelujah. Times 2.
There's the hallelujah. Anyway, all kidding aside, Frosty, what in the world is this president thinking of or not thinking of by releasing 36,000 felons, murderers, rapists, all kinds of assault felons, everything, releasing them? Why?
This is the great question of the 21st century for our Constitution and the 535 congressional critters, along with one president, that are steering the ship of state toward a population iceberg, toward a multicultural iceberg, toward a linguistic chaos iceberg. And for those of you who appreciate this, I really want to bring this into sharper focus. Not only the 36,000 illegal migrants who have criminal records and who have committed crimes in our country against our own citizens and killed our own citizens. Right now, I just wrote a piece. It's on beforeitsnews.com, and you can just look under Wooldridge and or go to Liberty News Online, or you can go to Freedom's Phoenix. It'll come out in newswithviews.com tomorrow. And I've even published an op-ed news, which is a liberal site, because I try to educate even liberal people. But the title of this piece is California adds 1,655 people net gain every day of the year, and 100% of it comes from legal and illegal immigration, Zeb. And the President of the United States has literally put a stop on all enforcement of immigration laws and immigration labor laws across this country, so that Marriott hotels continue to pay these substandard wages to all of these little 21st century slaves. They keep pouring in, and the latest report shows from Numbers USA between 600,000 and 700,000 illegal aliens continue to pour into America every year. That's by Roy Beck and his staff. So what that means is, ladies and gentlemen, that California now at 38 million people, if you just do the numbers, 1,655 people added net gain every day over and above their death rate and so forth. California is going to add 20 million immigrants to their already horrific 38 million people that are in that state. But, Zeb, let me bring this to everybody's attention. I know you all were watching NBC, ABC, CBS this weekend. You may have watched Lester Holt or David Muir or Scott Glore on CBS, but they reported California has a 90% severe drought status. And, of course, it's just cooked up out there. They also reported that a laundry list of pools and water playgrounds closing down because of the drought. They reported homeowners could not get waters onto their lawns and gardens because of empty reservoirs. They reported on the 12 different wildfires blazing all over the state. And they, of course, interviewed dozens of homeowners picking up through the rubble of their homes. And yet, none of them talked about what I call upstream reporting, Zeb. Upstream reporting means you interview people who are studying the causes of the drought, how to mitigate homes from burning, and how to proactively stop the consequences of Los Angeles and San Francisco's, horrifically congested and gridlocked cities. But instead, they just report the consequences, the burned down homes. And so I'm here to tell you, and I'm here to share with you, essentially, I'm an outlier, and Malcolm Gladwell wrote about outliers, and here's what an outlier is: an individual who thinks beyond the moment, a person who thinks with a grasp of the future. An outlier represents those who understand how to change course toward a better tomorrow by implementing rational actions. It's obvious from your question that we don't have an outlier in the office of the presidency, and we certainly don't have a proactive thinking U.S. Congress. And certainly Harry Reid is not too bright, and even Speaker Boehner is really not too bright, and yet they continue to inject into this country and allow the injection of over 1.1 million legal immigrants every year, and we now know another 700,000 illegal. And even if they get into crime situations, they then re-release them into the troubled, populace that we have right now. And so, Zeb, I don't have an answer for that, because these people do not think rationally. And back in 1965, Teddy Kennedy passed the Immigration Reform Act that quadrupled population growth by immigration into this country. From about 200,000 per year to well over 1.2 to 1.5 million annually, and that's why we added this extra 100 million people. That same Immigration Reform Act is in play today, and we're going to add another 100 million. And, of course, as I wrote in my book, America on the Brink, the next added 100 million Americans, California is the bow of the Titanic. So why do they do this kind of thing? I don't know. But, of course, we all know that Boehner and or Harry Reid are so old they won't be living by the time our children have to face this god-awful mess of California adding 20 million more people in light of the problems they have today. Well, it is beyond my conceptual understanding, Zeb.
Let me just point a question to you, and then I'm going to do a short commercial break, as we've got primaries tomorrow here in the state of Idaho. But how can this president think about this and give me an answer on this? Why hasn't the American public, haven't we stood up and said, no, you can't do this? Our president is breaking and circumventing the laws by turning these felons loose. and I want you to respond to that in just a moment. Stand by. Okay. Senator Dean Cameron running unopposed for Senate in District 27, a voice of influence, a voice of caring, a voice of getting things done for the state of Idaho and for all of us. I appreciate him. You appreciate him too. And he urges you to go to the polls tomorrow and use your patriotic duty and vote. Dean Cameron, of course, the highest ranking senior member of the Senate, and he urges you to get out and vote tomorrow on May 20th. He's done a lot for all of the state of Idaho, and especially right here in the Magic Valley. Senator Dean Cameron, Senator of District 27, paid for by Idaho Senator Dean Cameron. Don't forget, Lennox Home Comfort Systems with, of course, qualified gas furnaces, air conditioners, and heat pumps. You and your family will always enjoy the comfort from Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. You know, Frosty, I'm not kidding. I'm absolutely frustrated. You drive through a red light or you get picked up for speeding, you're going to get a ticket. You have to follow the laws. This president is absolutely stepping over and grinding with his boot heel everything that the work of county sheriffs have done to collect these people, arrest these people, prosecute these people, and he turns 36,000 felons on the loose, back on the streets to rape, pillage, and plunder again. It should be on Obama's shoulders, and we should be demanding that he is impeached.
I agree, and I can tell you why it's not happening. Not enough Americans have faced the consequences of this unbelievable invasion of legal and illegal immigration, now literally a human Katrina upon our country. And I don't understand why there is no response other than the fact that it's not affecting enough people yet. But I can tell you, let me just kick you back into that fact that California is going to add another 20 million immigrants here in the next, and remember, this growth is 100% immigration. You can go to the website capsweb.org, and of course, please join capsweb.org, capsweb.org, and numbersusa.org, and FAIR, F-A-I-R-U-S. Also, there's AliPacUS.us and so forth, and there's also Carrying Capacity Network. Folks, make your voice heard by joining these organizations for free and becoming a part of the phone and fax people that make a difference. But let me just project to you, as an outlier, let me project to you California's 20 million added immigrants here in the next 30 years. There will be more Californians fleeing California because of the god-awful mess that's been created in California, just like India. Indians flee India right now, and they flee to America because of the god-awful mess that was created in India. Same with Mexico. They're fleeing Mexico. Well over 12 to 15 million Mexicans now reside in the U.S. because they fled Mexico. Can you imagine, with another 20 million and the water shortages that are now in California and the consequences of gridlock and air pollution, where are the extra 20 million that hit California? What's going to happen to the ones that say, hey, I can't take this anymore? They're going to flee to Idaho. How would you like Idaho? And I've been through Boise on my bicycle. I've been through Murtaugh on my bicycle. I've been through Twin Falls on my bicycle. How would you like to see Boise jump by 5 million people, and then Twin Falls jump by another 5 million, and Murtaugh, Idaho, jump by 1 million? What I'm saying is that's what's going to happen, because people will flee those god-awful situations that have been created by this massive population loading, just like they're fleeing their own countries. People don't flee their own countries because it's nice and warm and fuzzy and everything's just duck hunky-dory. They flee because it's gotten so miserable. So at some point, Zeb, these 36,000 that were just left and this lawless president, let's face it, this is lawlessness. He put his hand on the Bible. Probably he should have put it on the Koran, but he put his hand on the Bible. He swore for his life to be the President of the United States and uphold the Constitution. He has not done that, and so we are stuck with it. So it's either you do something at your local level, or at some point you will see 5 million people in Boise, Idaho, and you'll see 5 million people in Twin Falls, etc. This thing's not going to stop unless we stop it now. And remember this, and I've said this for year after year, if we don't take action now, then we become victims of non-action, and we become victims of the situation, Zeb.
No, I totally agree with everything you said there as far as non-action, but here's the thing that just bothers me, and I hate to keep beleaguering this point, is that we have a law. And they broke the law. First and foremost, they came here illegally. That's something right there that's not even being talked about. We're more concerned now about whether they're rapists or murderers or whether they're assaults, but we're not even concerning ourselves with the original breaking the law by coming here illegally. And all the law people, the county sheriffs, the deputies, the policemen on the streets that have arrested these people, it's all for naught. Is he just doing this to buy votes coming up in the next election? This is insidious that he can break the law and get away with it.
Well, let me also throw into this mix, corruption becomes a mechanism by which a third world country operates. Ladies and gentlemen, do you understand that? Corruption becomes a mechanism by which a third world operates. Do you know that Harry Reid is a very corrupt U.S. Senator, and he leads the Senate as the Senate Majority Leader? Do you understand that John Boehner of Ohio, the Speaker of the House, has done everything in his power to stop the passage of the E-Verify Act that would make all employers verify the identity and the viability of anyone who applies for a job? He has absolutely usurped the law himself, and he is a man in the position of power like Harry Reid. Both those men, one of them passed the Senate 744 bill last year, which is going to inundate the country with not just 1 million immigrants per year, but 2 million immigrants per year. It just double the onslaught of this invasion of our country. But John Boehner is also facilitating that same bill to get it passed right now, and not enough of us are saying anything, have said anything, have not written, have not called, and so forth. And so at some point, we're all going to get to be victims of it, and that's what we're facing, Zeb, and that's why each week I'm coming on to alert you to take action through these websites so that you have a voice, because if you don't, then you will definitely not have a voice, because the corruption really has taken over the Congress of the United States. The lobbying, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce is begging for more overseas, slave labor people. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce wants endless immigration into this country, both legally and illegally, because it's filling the pockets of the big, essentially 21st century robber barons.
We have a call with a question. Go ahead, caller, quickly. I'm almost out of time. Go ahead.
Good introduction there to the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, because Mike Simpson, our congressman, has received upwards of around $1 million supporting his campaign, mostly in negative ads against his opponent, Brian Smith. And I can guarantee you he's going to be beholden to vote with Boehner and company for immigration, more immigration, illegal immigration, so forth. And I just want people to be aware of that when they go to the polls. Think about what Frosty said, and the U.S. Chamber of Commerce is supporting Mike Simpson to big numbers, and there's a reason for it. So I just want to make that comment, and then Frosty can enlarge on that if you wish.
All right, go ahead, Frosty, if you would, please. I've got about 3.5 minutes left. Go ahead.
Well, thank you, caller. You are right on the money. I mean, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce is among the cartel of whether it's Marriott hotels, whether it's Chipotle's, the Mexican Bar and Grill that's been caught so many times with its hand in the cookie jar, hiring thousands of illegal aliens, giving them false Social Security numbers. And what you see here is, just like the caller's saying, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce absolutely promotes that illegality and that corruption so that it can put more money into the hands of the man who runs Marriott hotels, La Quinta, the construction firms, McDonald's. You go right on down the line. We have thousands of employers employing illegal aliens with impunity. They get away with it because we don't have a president like Dwight D. Eisenhower who would actually enforce the laws. We don't have a Congress that would stand up with Dwight D. Eisenhower and pass laws to enforce the laws. And so what we have is more and more corruption. And as we continue on this pathway, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to become a third world country that corruption is a mechanism by which a third world country operates. That should become one of my most famous quotes in all time. because that's what's happening to us, and that's exactly as the caller said. That's if you vote this guy in, he's going to go with the U.S. Chamber of Commerce because he's beholding to them for millions of dollars. It's all about money, and everybody, the ones that are making the big profits, Zeb, and that's the ones at the top, the robber barons of the 21st century.
Well, and I want to just wrap this up. We got 2 minutes left here, and just quickly give me your analysis. I look at this thing as nothing more than vote buying by letting out these felons, and of course their families that are here, etc., buying the votes for not only this fall in November, but also in 2016. And I don't see anybody outraged from either side of the aisle as to the releasing of these felons back into our society so they can rape, pillage, and plunder again, be arrested, and possibly turn loose again. This is a revolving door that Obama's opened up.
Well, and he's not the only one. I mean, you got to look at, George Bush, and you got to look at Clinton in the first Bush. None of these presidents has actually done anything to stop illegal immigration or the mass immigration that's destroying this country. And so it's not just this one. Let me give you a quote from an immigrant that's illegally came into this country. And here's a quote. When calling into a radio talk show, one illegal immigrant said, "What a country. For $50, you can buy documents that will let you get food stamps and money to make babies that become American citizens. When the baby is older, this allows the rest of my relatives to come and make their babies in America." Unquote. I mean, folks, that's a quote from an illegal alien. And so that's exactly what's happening. And they're coming in, ladies and gentlemen, at no less than 700,000 illegal aliens per year. You've got the jackpot baby or the anchor babies coming in, around 350 to 400,000 women that are pregnant, drop their child in this country, and they have got everything handed to them on your back because you're paying the taxes to pay it. And as I've said many times, Edwin Rubenstein figured out the cost. He's the great economist. $346 billion a year in and year out, across 15 federal agencies to pay for all these illegal aliens, whether it's ESL courses or whether it's the education or the free breakfasts and lunches. Ladies and gentlemen, we are becoming a welfare state. 48 million on food stamps right now, and this president and this Congress have done nothing to change that, and in fact have increased it. 8 years ago, when that guy, or 7 years ago when he got into, or 6 years ago when he got into office, it was only 36 million on food stamps. Now it's 48 million, headed for 50 million, and it's just going to get worse. And you and I are paying for it, even if we still have a job.
Amen. Frosty, always look forward to having you on the program. God's blessings to you, and we'll be talking to you next Monday at 9:06. Thank you so much, my dear friend Frosty Woolridge in Golden, Colorado.
Thank you.
God bless. Thank you. Look forward to having him on every Monday, and as part of our featured guests right here every week, Zeb at the Ranch. Don't forget, Ken Menzel for Minidoka County Sheriff wants your vote tomorrow, May 20th. That's right. Go to the polls tomorrow. And don't forget, Ken Menzel for Minidoka County Sheriff, enforcing the law based on respect for individual rights and a commitment to the safety of each and every citizen, and maintaining high ethical and performance standards for himself and the entire staff. Ken Menzel from Minidoka County Sheriff wants your vote tomorrow, May 20th, paid for by Elaine Stevenson, Treasurer. Also, let's not forget our friends at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Oh my goodness, they've got the Flex Steel furniture for you, the Flex Steel difference. What's in the name? Well, in that case, the uniquely comfortable blue steel seat spring that's at the heart of the Flex Steel furniture. Absolutely durable and beautiful. Stop into Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley. Check out the Flex Steel furniture. Check out all your carpet needs, all your mattresses by Beauty Rest, everything you need for the comfort and beautification of your home right there at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. 459 Overland in Burley. You stop in and see those wonderful people today at Lee's Furniture. Oh, my, we got a whole bunch of things to talk about. And I also want to remind you about Let's Ride, Highway 24 between Rupert and Burley. Now open summer hours, Monday through Saturday. You thought they were closed? You go on in there today and say, hey, you're at work. And they'll say, yes, sirree, what can we do for you? They got lawnmowers on sale. They've got all their power equipment on sale. Now's the time to buy a new generator. Let's Ride has several varieties to choose from. They've got the Can-Am side-by-side, some really great deals, rebates and great financing. What are you waiting for? And they've got a service department that can fix anything. Let's Ride, Highway 24 between Rupert and Burley. Believe me, that is where the fun is sold. You stop in and see Let's Ride today. Okay, let's see what else have I got here. I want to get into some more of our great people that are running for office and or are running unopposed, and they just want to remind you to go vote. And that's exactly our senator and representative, I should say, from District 27. I just promoted him a little bit. Well, it's Fred Wood, representative for District 27. This man has worked diligently for all the people of District 27 and the people of Idaho to protect Idaho's water, create a positive economic environment, and support natural resources and preserve a traditional Idaho. He wants you to go to the polls tomorrow and vote on May 20th. Show that you care and are willing to take charge of your future. And that's, of course, from Fred Wood, Representative District 27, paid for by Fred Wood, for House Seat 27. Let's go to the phone lines right now, and we have another guest waiting for us, and we're going to invite right now John Scruggs to say good morning from the Alliance Defending Freedom. John, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing this morning?
Well, I got to be honest with you. We're right in the middle of political season here with the primaries tomorrow in Idaho, so I'm going to take a break in just a few minutes with some more of our ads. But, John, I hope you don't mind if I call you John, or would you prefer Jonathan? You tell me, and we'll do it that way.
Either one. Let's go with John.
All right, John, thanks. I was absolutely taken aback. I know that these stories are not new. I know that there's been infiltration, if you will, of the gay, lesbian, and transgender mindset into our schools. But when I read about this Kentucky school principal making a decision to basically open up a problem in the Kentucky school system back in a certain county, Jefferson County, that would let boys use girls' restrooms, etc., girls use boys' restrooms. What kind of a society have we turned into? Is there no decency left anymore?
Well, it definitely seems confused, at the very least. And it's important to stress this opens up a lot of problems in terms of safety and privacy. And you can imagine that easily when a biological male is going into a female restroom. Can open up situations where you have improper touching and improper exposure. And I think anyone who's a parent should be greatly concerned about this situation. Would you want to send your child to a school that they're open to these type of things happening? And so it definitely is very disturbing.
Okay, now I'm going to be very blunt. If you don't want to follow my lead on this and you want to be a little bit away from my remarks, I'll respect that. I absolutely think it's appalling that we're catering to a very, very small percentage of human beings in this country that want to overthrow anything with morality and family involvement, and that's the gay, lesbian, and transgender movement. Why are principals like this principal in Kentucky acting with idiocy to open up a genderless type bathroom? This is completely against the norm, completely against family values, and against the Bible. Why are we letting this happen?
Well, I think what you see is people kind of buying into the Kool-Aid of, well, this is discrimination. We have to allow this, otherwise we're discriminating. And that's just not true. This is not about discrimination. This is about the right to, bodily privacy. This is a basic key tenet of so many things that federal courts have said that even prisoners have the right not to be exposed to opposite-sex people in bathroom-type situations. So if prisoners have this right, then certainly our high schoolers should have the right as well. And that's why it's so important to stress this is not about discrimination. It's not discrimination when you're trying to prevent inappropriate situations, inappropriate touching that's happening. And this is not just happening in Kentucky. As you mentioned, this is happening more and more throughout the country. And what you're going to see having it spread not just in high schools, but also in employment-type situations, where employers are going to start allowing their employees to access opposite-sex bathrooms if they adopt the same type of argument. And that is just so very disturbing. But it's really even more disturbing in this context of youngsters. You can imagine, think not just of high schoolers, but of kids as young as kindergarten age being exposed to opposite sex in these enclosed environments where there may not be any parental or of teachers who can protect them. So it is very disturbing, very frustrating, I think, that you see if people kind of, like I said, have taken this Kool-Aid in and not really thought out the implications of it.
Let me ask you this, and I'll throw a scenario at you. Let's assume with this idiocy, and that's what it is, that a boy goes into a girl's restroom at this school, and a girl is very affronted, very embarrassed, and she hauls off and just beats the living tar out of this kid for making possibly any advances to her, and the girl possibly would be up for a separation from the school. I mean, what are the chances that nobody can protect themselves in this situation?
Yeah, it seems like the agenda is run amok, that you can't even, that safety and privacy, which are so basic, that has to be put under the table in the name of so-called anti-discrimination. And that's what it's so, again, it's not about discrimination. It's just common sense. It's common sense in saying, hey, biological males should go to their restroom and biological females should go to their restroom. And I think the example you bring up is exactly what we're talking about here, is that just opens up a Pandora's box, a situation where we can think all day about the crazy hypotheticals that could happen, that could expose the school to liability, that could expose other students to potential liability and problems. It just doesn't make any sense.
Jonathan, what is discriminatory about having a restroom marked women or girls or boys or men? What's discriminatory about that? And I'll also add this to the fray. As far as the transgenders are concerned, I will never cater to them. I will never acknowledge them because, in my opinion, and I think I'm right, God did not make any mistakes. Why are we catering to these people?
Again, I think you see it's just the agenda of this idea of anti-discrimination. I think the key is, we have to face the reality that there's a difference between males and females. And no matter how people want to remove that distinction, it's still there. And it's common sense that males don't want to go to the restroom right next to females. In fact, a federal court has said that students and parents and other people have this right to bodily dignity. It's been continually recognized by the federal courts in the context of going to the restroom of your own sex without being exposed to opposite sex. So it really is not about anti-discrimination. And I would like to say that, there's an easy solution. We've provided the school with our own policy that allows essentially these type of, I guess you could say, transgender students to go to a unisex restroom or a restroom of their own. They don't have to go to the restroom of the opposite sex. There's no reason to expose students to situations that are very unsafe.
What does the Alliance Defending Freedom and you and others, what are you doing and what do you expect out of this court case? What are you trying to stop and how are you going to prevent this from going further?
Well, right now it's not a court case because thankfully the school district's policy has just essentially been put in place and there hadn't been, to my knowledge, any inappropriate touching or any appropriate situations. But those are right around the corner. And in those situations, you definitely have to evaluate, okay, how can we protect the rights of the vast majority of the students there? How to protect their rights to their bodily privacy. So right now, we've been writing letters. We're admonishing and encouraging school districts, hey, don't go this route. We've created our own policy that we're offering to the schools and saying, hey, jump on board with this policy. We'll defend you for free. In case something happens, we will defend you for free if you say, hey, boys, go to the boys' restroom, girls, go to the girls' restroom. And so that is, I think, a healthy track right now to take. That's just common sense. And we're not asking for something crazy. It just is common sense to say, hey, go to your own restroom.
Let me ask you this question, and let's be very straightforward and out the people that are funding this. What groups are funding this absolute atrocity? Who is responsible for this movement?
Well, I think it's kind of the typical groups that you see. I'm sure GLAAD and all the different transgender groups are involved, not just on, you say, a national level, but even on a local level. They have local groups that have made appearances at the school district, and in many situations creating confusion. Some people are going around saying that, school districts have to do this in order to comply with Title IX, and that's just, which is a federal law, and that's just not the case. No federal law out there requires schools or employers to allow people to go into opposite-sex restrooms. And so that's why we exist. We're writing these letters. We're informing the school districts, saying what the law is and what they can, and really, in some situations, they don't have to do.
Let me ask you this, Jonathan. Now that you've informed my audience about this morning and everybody's aware, how big across the board in the United States, all 50 states, how big is this problem, or is it minuscule and we're trying to nip it in the bud now, or is it growing like a cancer?
It's growing very quickly. We've dealt with a situation very similar. It's a Kentucky situation and other situations occurring in Tucson. Very similar situations are happening in California, in Denver, in Maine, for example. So this is not just a random, sporadic thing. This is happening all across the country, and it's coming, I want your listeners to be informed that it's coming to the school district near them, potentially even to their private employer, that this agenda is not satisfied until really they've broken down all barriers between biological males and females. But that's why we exist. That's why Alliance Defending Freedom exists, is we want to educate about what the law requires, and in some cases litigate to protect the rights of people who are threatened. Their bodily privacy, their safety is threatened by these unreasonable policies.
Can a school district or a school board or a superintendent or a principal, when they're approached with this idiocy, can they just look them in the eye and say, get out and don't let the door hit you on the posterior on the way out? Can they just basically tell them, no, we're not going to do anything as idiotic as your movement? Or what happens then?
Sure, they can, and that's why we created this policy, we've written these letters saying there's no law that requires what the school district in Kentucky is doing. And that's why we're offering our services for free. That way, school districts have really nothing to fear. We're there to protect not just the students, but we want to offer our services to these school districts who are willing to stand up and say, look, these policies are unreasonable, that we want to protect the privacy of the vast majority of the students at their school, that we don't want to allow males and females into an enclosed environment where no one is watching, or that can just lead to such great problems in terms of safety. You can imagine it. And not just bathrooms, but think of locker rooms, think of changing areas for plays. The hypotheticals are endless of how many problems this creates. And it just doesn't make any sense. And so that's why we exist, to empower these school districts to say, we're not going to do that.
Jonathan, what's been, in general, the feeling and attitude and response from parents? I mean, what's been the outrage, or what's been their response to this?
Well, obviously, many concerned parents have called us just with respect to this Kentucky situation. Parents on the ground who are going to the school district board meetings, they're very concerned. Obviously, in this situation, many female students have called us and are concerned that they don't want their own privacy rights violated, so they want to feel safe when they go to the restroom. Many other parents can call to us about a similar situation in Arizona. But it's unfortunate that other parents, again, kind of taking, I would say, drinking the Kool-Aid of this, we have to avoid discrimination, have spoken in favor of the school district policy. And again, we just think that doesn't abide with common sense. So we want to empower, like I said, we want to inform the school districts. We also want to inform parents and encourage them that they've got to be involved in their schools and speak up when these situations happen.
Absolutely. I'm just absolutely flabbergasted that America has reached this low level in the cesspool. This is pathetic. John, tell us how we can follow this story and support you on behalf of Alliance Defending Freedom. Give us the information, please.
Sure. Well, definitely the best way, go to our website, www.alliancedefendingfreedom.org, and from there you can follow this news story. You can see our letter, our policy, see media coverage about it, and that's really the best way and to stay updated. I can't emphasize that enough. Parents really need to be involved and be aware and call us and let us know if something like this is happening in their school district.
Absolutely. Jonathan Scruggs, I want to say thank you so much on behalf of the Alliance Defending Freedom for being on our program. Please, if you hear any updates, come back and tell us more, would you please?
I will. Thank you so much.
God bless. Thank you very much. I'm just sickened. I am just absolutely sickened that we have turned into this kind of a cesspool, a sewage plant of moral decay, that somebody's going to yell discrimination if they can't use either the men's or women's restrooms. Oh, please. I just can't imagine this. I hope and pray that it doesn't happen close by to here. We'll talk about that with Gina in just a minute. I'll get her thoughts. It just sickens me. Time for the weather forecast. Weather brought to you this hour by Red's Trading Post, 203 5th Avenue South in Twin Falls. All your guns, ammo, and accessories, and really trained personnel to explain everything to you right there at Red's Trading Post in Twin Falls. Number to call, 733-3546. Right now, here's the weather.
Looks like partly sunny skies for today. Isolated thunderstorms are expected later on this afternoon and into the evening hours. Going to be a little bit breezy as well. High of 63 for today. Tonight, mostly cloudy. Thunderstorm showers possible. Low near 42 currently. It's a little windy out of the west, right around 9 miles an hour, and sitting at 51 degrees. Here's KBAR Studios.
Very well done. Red's Trading Post, 203 5th Avenue South in Twin Falls. Again, the best of guns, ammo, and accessories, and the people that know all about it. Right there at Red's Trading Post in Twin Falls. Give them a call, Ryan and the crew, 733-3546. Don't forget, Chris Jensen wants your vote tomorrow, May 20th, for Minidoka County Sheriff. He wants to bring new leadership, a new vision, and a new direction to the Minidoka County Sheriff's Office by seeking the elected office of Sheriff. Honest, ethical, experienced, and dedicated, financially accountable, and believe me, says zero tolerance for drugs and gangs. He wants your vote tomorrow. Chris Jensen for Minidoka County Sheriff, paid for by the citizens. For Chris Jensen, Barbara Jensen, Treasurer. Okay, let's see. I think we'd better have this good word for Congressman Mike Simpson.
Brian Smith collected millions from Idaho's vulnerable, veterans, and the disabled. But where else does Smith get money?
We literally put all those checks in an envelope and send them to Brian, and so he gets a big envelope with a lot of money in it, which is probably a good day for him.
So Smith is beholden to a Washington special interest group that's against the Farm Bill. The same Washington special interest group that would kill jobs at Idaho National Laboratory and cut funding for firefighters who we entrust to protect our land, our property, and our lives. It's no surprise that Brian Smith puts Washington special interest groups ahead of Idaho. Because Brian Smith is out for himself, not you.
I'm Mike Simpson, and I approve this message, paid for by Simpson for Congress.
Thank you very much. And ladies and gentlemen, Zeb at the Ranch, I'll take your calls. What do you think about the moral decay in this country now to where a Kentucky school principal has said, oh, well, the boys can use the girls' bathroom and the girls can use the boys' bathroom, and the boys can change their clothes in the girls' locker room, and vice versa. What in the world has happened to sanity in this country? Please give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Gina, am I just an old fogey, or is this absolutely mentally nuts?
It's all mentally nuts. It really is all mentally nuts. Our country has gone insane.
We laughed and giggled and teetered a little bit, years ago, and some of these transsexuals wanted to join the women's basketball team or softball team or vice versa, and then they wanted to change their clothes within that locker room, and we thought America had a high enough moral standing they would say throw the bums out, which they should have and did, but now it seems that it's becoming commonplace. What kind of a unisex society is this? I'm ashamed of America the way things are going.
Well, they want everybody to be accepted. They want everybody to, accept their lifestyle and everything. And okay, you know what? But you still have to use the anatomically correct bathroom.
Why is it discrimination? And you just touched on it. Why is it discrimination for a female to go into their respective changing area and or restroom, and the same for the males? That's not discrimination. That's common sense.
It is just common sense, but our country has lost it. Our country lost common sense a long time ago.
Okay, and there is a group of people in this country, and it's very minimal in numbers, and I have no respect. I want to underline this. I have no respect for them whatsoever. And that's the transgenders that are pushing this, absolutely wanting a unisex society, claiming that God made a mistake. God doesn't make any mistakes. You're the Nimrods that have made the mistake. They're the ones that are pushing this and making a totally unsafe situation in our public schools.
Well, you're not going to get an argument out of me on that one. I mean, seriously, I think that there's such a small minority that is making the majority accept by force their lifestyle, and they're not only pushing that in the public forum, but they're doing it in the schools and everywhere else. And it's like there's got to be a point in time where those with common sense say, okay, enough's enough. Seriously, enough.
Well, what about parents? This is the thing that bothers me the most, and I asked him about the parents and the sending of their children to a school, a higher education source, whether it's a high school, whatever, and being subjected to this. I mean, it's embarrassing for both the boys and the girls. It's absolutely a total unisex. It's a breakdown of any moral value in our country. Why aren't parents absolutely saying, my kid's not going to that school, you've seen the last of him or her, adios until you get your minds back?
You know what? I don't know. And so that's why, parents need to stand up, and if they're not in agreement with what their public schools are doing, send your child to a private school. Send them to a charter school that does support your moral base and your moral value. That's what I say. That's what I'm doing.
But, somebody will say, well, don't impose your morals on me. Gina, this is just common sense.
They don't have any common sense, and so they feel like, yes, we are imposing our morals because they have no common sense to have any.
When somebody coined the phrase going to hell in a handbasket, they must have been thinking of these idiots that are promoting this kind of a concept.
Amen. I think that they were. You've got a phone call.
All right. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. I tell you what our 7th grader, 13-year-old, is going to do about it. He wants to homeschool next year. We're going to check it out next week because he said he's sick and tired of the language, the little kids use on the bus, all kids. He's sick and tired of everything to do with the school. And he's insisting on 8th grade being homeschooled. So that's what we're looking at.
There is no common sense, no moral value, nothing that says we should cater to this filth and this sleaze in our society. Yes, I'm discriminating against them because I don't like them.
He come out through the private school anyway, and through St. Nick, and then he's been in the middle school for 2 years. He doesn't want the 3rd year there.
I just
the one that wants out.
I just can't imagine a society that's getting as messed up and literally tarnished forever with this brain-dead thinking that we're all belong in the unisex society, no morals, no values. What in the world is the matter with us for even permitting this kind of garbage to happen?
this started like over 40 years ago. That some of the churches were pushing this when the kids would go to, on trips, and they'd want them to even share motel rooms.
Oh, my
and
gosh.
It's sick. We got a sick society, and, well, I better stop right there. Have a good day.
All right. I understand, believe me, but I don't stop there. I will condemn, and yes, I will damn these people that are trying to absolutely disrupt and destroy our society. Caller, I'll be right there. Don't go away. When you think about life insurance, think about Cameron and Siemens Insurance. When you think about health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, that's who you need to think about. Cameron and Siemens Insurance. Dean and Todd, dedicated and responsive to your needs, always accessible and devoted to helping you. Please call them today at 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. Yesterday, during our Sunday school class, somebody brought up the fact that nowadays people are trying to use our Constitution against us to change the rules and the law of God that we were started out with, our society did, by changing the marriage between a man and a woman, and they're slowly doing it little by little.
They are doing it little by little, but I'm telling you what, it's your fault, it's my fault, it's everybody's fault for letting this garbage start. And I promise you, on this program, until the plug is pulled, I'm going to continue to fight against this sleaze, and that's what it is. He's gone. Okay, thank you very much. I want to quickly remind you that the Chadwick Sports Grill, what have they got to eat today at 139 West Main in Burley? Oh, ground round steak with choice of potato, veggies, and super salad. You're going to love the food. You're going to love the service. You're going to love the environment. Chadwick Sports Grill, go in there and just look at all the pictures and study everything up on the walls. I love that place. Great big special today, ground round steak with all the goodies. You stop in and see the Chadwick Sports Grill at 139 West Main. By the way, Eric Snar, current sheriff of Minidoka County, wants your vote tomorrow, May 20th, for re-election. Leadership that listens. He says, I pledge to the citizens of Minidoka County to make our county and communities a safe place to live, work, and raise our families. He's 18 years in law enforcement, Gulf War veteran, proven leadership, dedicated to the people. Vote tomorrow, May 20th, to re-elect Eric Snar, Minidoka County Sheriff, paid for by Jason Gibbons, Treasurer. All I can say is, and I'm sure there's going to be those out in the audience, anywhere across the United States that are damning and condemning me for my thoughts. That's fine. But I will not weaken. I think America is at a turning point right now with absolute destitute sleaze. And this story verifies that we would open up restrooms for grade schoolers and high schoolers, basically everybody, to use whatever facility they please. No safety, no sanctity, no respect. This is idiocy, and I will continue to fight it. Coming up next hour, we've got a filmmaker that absolutely is world famous. Joel Gilbert is going to be on the phone with us, and he's got a new film that basically lays it all on the line about Obama and what his administration's trying to do. And then at 10:30 this morning, we'll have Eric Snar, current Minidoka County Sheriff, running for re-election. So that's what's coming up this next hour. Stay tuned. Zeb at the Ranch. I'll be back in 6. Holy cow, here we go, hour number 3, Zeb at the Ranch, and of course, brought to you by our Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, our major sponsor, all 7 locations, and then of course, some of our great advertisers include Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley, and of course, Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service today, call Kelly and the crew at 734-6969. Once again, Ken Menzel from Minidoka County Sheriff wants your vote vote May 20th, tomorrow, primary day. Don't forget that. Promoting a culture within the Sheriff's Office of hard work, integrity, and service that creates a safer environment for the residents and guests to live in, and ensuring that everyone's voice is heard. Ken Menzel for Minidoka County Sheriff tomorrow, May 20th. Remember, vote tomorrow. Paid for by Elaine Stevenson, Treasurer. We'll have this good word for Congressman Mike Simpson and be right back.
Brian Smith collected millions from Idaho's vulnerable, veterans, and the disabled. But where else does Smith get money?
We literally put all those checks in an envelope and send them to Brian, and so he gets a big envelope with a lot of money in it, which is probably a good day for him.
So Smith is beholden to a Washington special interest group that's against the Farm Bill. The same Washington special interest group that would kill jobs at Idaho National Laboratory and cut funding for firefighters who we entrust to protect our land, our property, and our lives. It's no surprise that Brian Smith puts Washington special interest groups ahead of Idaho. Because Brian Smith is out for himself, not you.
I'm Mike Simpson, and I approve this message, paid for by Simpson for Congress.
Thank you very much. And right now, also, don't forget on Thursdays, we have Cassia County School Days brought to you by, of course, A Child's World at 1308 Overland in Burley. Don't forget, they've got all the summer outfits over there at prices that are really fitting your pocketbook. Stop in and see them today at A Child's World, 1308 Overland in Burley. And also our other sponsor, the Ambulatory Surgery Center, continues to be the area's best place for outpatient surgery and saving people hundreds of dollars. Don't forget Ambulatory Surgery Center. Call them at 677-8888. Located at 1344 Highland Drive in Burley. Ambulatory Surgery Center and, of course, The Child's World, bringing you school days in Cassia County. Busy day, the day before the primaries, and I'm very, very fortunate to have with us. Again, this gentleman's been on my program before in the past, talking about his 2012 documentary, Dreams from My Real Father. Now he has another film that he's put out, filmmaker Joel Gilbert, with the film called There's No Place Like Utopia. Good morning, Joel. How are you?
Good. Great to be here. Thank you.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you on the program, and I'm just going to sit back and enjoy this because evidently you've done a lot of study about Obama's family, his father, the situation with his mother, and now you've got a film called There's No Place Like Utopia. Give us a little background of this movie, if you would, please.
Okay, thanks. There's No Place Like Utopia is an exploration of the reality and roots of progressivism in America. What I do is I travel around the country and I go to some of these cities that have been controlled by progressives for 50, 60 years. Chicago, Detroit, Newark, all across the country. It's kind of like in that way, it's kind of like a Michael Moore film, and that I'm running around talking to people, but of course the content is actually real. What I find out is that all these people who have been seduced by these utopian promises, they were promised almost a paradise on earth. If you give me the power, these Democrats and these socialists said, I'll make all these laws and make things right for you. I'm going to help you. We'll make these laws and rules to prevent the business people from making money, and we'll give this money to you. All this nonsense that people think, that sounds good. But what I found from talking to people in all these cities is instead of progressing like the progressives promised, these people were all regressing. Detroit had been destroyed. It was a vacant city with crime and murders and no police, absolutely devastated physically and mentally. Southside Chicago, where Michelle Obama is from, everybody I talked to said things are getting worse and worse. Schools are closed. Everything's boarded up. So this progressive agenda that they claimed was helping people in these cities was turning the clock backwards, and they brought this agenda to Washington to impose this progressivism on all of America. And the way they did it, as I chronicled in my last film, was by using the big lie. Obama lied about his personal background. He claimed his father was a goat herder from Kenya, and he was just going to be this centrist politician, bring people together, cut the deficit in half, the most transparent government in history, on and on. But just like in The Wizard of Oz, the name of this film, There's No Place Like Utopia, is kind of a play on Dorothy's conclusion, there's no place like home. So there's no place like Utopia follows this theme that if you follow the yellow brick road, this magical wizard, this perfect being, this God on earth is going to just solve all your problems. But in The Wizard of Oz, you remember, of course, Dorothy finds out the wizard was nothing but a charlatan. He never intended to keep any of his promises, and he sent Dorothy to the witch's castle where she was taken prisoner in the dungeon. In my movie, I go through history and I show that anyone that follows charlatans like Mao, Stalin, Pol Pot, they promised a paradise on earth. They sent people to collective farms. They said this is going to be the workers' paradise that Karl Marx promised, utopia. But when they arrived there, they got to hell on earth. They were sent to gulags, starved to death, and mass murdered. 100 million people were killed by utopians in power in the 20th century in peacetime. And this film shows both the history of progressivism, the disaster of progressivism in history, the disaster of progressive policies in America, and illustrates through people and their real stories how the progressive policies have harmed American cities and are turning us backwards, not forwards.
Joel, I'm just fascinated with everything you said as far as a kind of a recapitulation of how you made the film and what's in it. But as far as the progressive thought and mindset in this country, in your opinion, as you travel all over the United States, have we gone too far to right the moral compass in this country?
I don't think so. The 2 points. The progressives took power by lying to people, by claiming things that were false, that they knew were false, and they never had any intention of fulfilling. Obama is, in his personal life, in his agenda, everything he said, he had no intention of cutting the deficit in half. He had no intention of respecting the Constitution. On and on. He said he was going to open up health care talks to the C-SPAN, and everyone's going to see what's going on. Transparency, screaming on the top of his lungs. We've got him on video, passionately yelling, transparency, that's what I promise you as a president. So the passion behind the big lies is what is the reason people went along. They believed him because he seemed so sincere. But what I found out now, talking to people on Southside Chicago, those are the biggest conservatives there are in the country. It's like going to CPAC. These largely African-American communities they're stuck in these cities literally with no home left. It's like they're stuck in Oz. They know there's no way out. And when you talk to them, I found out they were not interested in government handouts. They were not interested in smoking marijuana. They didn't want marijuana legal for their kids. They definitely did not want amnesty for illegals. African Americans have been in this country 400 or 500 years. We've got a lot of problems in those areas. Why are we, just because you break the law and come to this country illegally and didn't follow the rules, that those groups of people, millions, should now benefit, is offensive to people who've been here a long time. But they wanted no part of the progressive agenda. But the progressive methodology, the socialists, use groups and people. They use people to fulfill the agenda, and then they abandon them. They could care less about them. Obama himself, in his career, look at his career, the communist groups in Chicago were having no luck recruiting the black church groups in Chicago that were very strong. They didn't want any part of this Marxist nonsense because they were religious people. They bring in one Barack Obama from Columbia, from New York in 1985. They bring in a front man, literally front man with a black face to infiltrate these communities using this progressive ideology of agitating. The public term for Obama's profession was community organizer because it sounds nicer, but the real job was community agitator. They go in there to recruit black people and tell them about economic differences, remind them of discrimination years ago, and try to whip them up and then use their discontent to take power. Once they take power, they abandon these groups. They don't care what happens to them. So there are strong traditional values in America from east to west, including all these cities. Only by lying and maintaining the lie and using people and dividing people and by agitating are they able to maintain their power. Don't forget, if they didn't use the tools of state, socialists, once they lie to take power, and then once they take power, they use the tools of state to maintain a hold on power. They were able, through the tools of state, to keep secret the reality of Fast and Furious. They were able to keep secret what happened in Benghazi. They were able to use the IRS to suppress the vote of the conservatives and allow the left to organize for the 2012 election. So only by using the tools of state were they able to have a dirty election and overcome the reality of American, the will of the voters. So I think we're not in any situation that people believe this nonsense. We're only in a situation that the Marxists took power and they're able to control the media and control information to maintain the hold on power right now. I hope my film, There's No Place Like Utopia, will be available in theaters this summer. I think it shed lights on the whole agenda, and I hope it will serve to help educate people about the background and reality of progressivism.
Let me ask you this, Joel. Do you find that in our school systems, the naivete of America, the parents kind of basically abdicating their responsibility over to the schools for their children from 7:30 in the morning all the way to 5 o'clock at night, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, go home and have a little homework, and then the kids go to bed. They're no longer parents. Have we become so naive and so lazy that we deserve what's being handed to us?
Not at all. Again, nothing would be handed to us if they did not illegally trample the First Amendment and prevent conservatives, Tea Party groups across the country from forming and organizing. They would have been voted out of office. There's also massive voter fraud that you need to think about and worry about. They're using the tools of state and their ability to manipulate people and manipulate information to take a hold on power. The next step is they want people like John McCain and Republican rhinos and even people on the radio to say, hey, wow, they won in 2012. I guess we should become Democrats. I guess everybody's just against us. I guess we need to adopt amnesty. We need to adopt all their policies because that's what people want. That's not true. I met people all over the country. They don't want any part of this. It's only because they're able to use the power of the controlling information and the IRS that they're able to make it seem like people voted for them and wanted their agenda. And the current administration does nothing in their policies reflects the will of the American people.
What about the school systems, the teachers? I just did a story last hour that sickened me with the Alliance Defending Freedom about a Kentucky principal that's going to just basically open up the restrooms in the schools to either sex. They can use them anytime they want them, and the same is true with the locker rooms. We've lost respect for ourselves and for the next generation coming up. How do we regain that?
I think all of these little things like opening up the restrooms, legalizing marijuana, legalizing 20 million illegals, everything you see in these leftist policies are meant to attack and break down traditional America. Traditional America is what supports the Constitution, is what pays the taxes, is what supports the free market system. So all of these things are psychological attacks on the American identity. The character of America emanates from the Declaration of Independence and the Bill of Rights. These created an American identity of individual freedom, free markets, free speech, and limited government. This is not new that we're under siege. For years, America's been under siege by essentially a vast left-wing conspiracy against these great principles. So anytime you hear a new irrational idea like let's all share bathrooms, let's legalize illegals, let's make marijuana illegal, these are all attacks on the American identity. And I can guarantee you Obama and all the gang out of Chicago do not identify with America. They identify only with a leftist ideology that they believe is more important than American values.
What about you filmmaker Joel Gilbert, how concerned are you for your health and future projects? What have they done? What have they said? What have they tried to do to condemn you and your film?
Well, typically part of the political correctness, thought police we have in this country is anytime you try to have an honest discussion about anything or present some facts, they try to smack you down. They try to, on the internet, and people come out and make statements that aren't true, accuse you of things, claim your information is not correct, and so on, in an effort because they cannot defend the facts. That's why the entire leftist agenda simply sees the world as good and evil. We're good, they're evil. They don't say this policy is good for these reasons. They say this is good, this is progress. The Republicans want to stop progress. They want to stop us from moving forward. This is their entire agenda. I get their emails every day, and they're just talking about we want to help poor people. We want to help middle-class families. The Republicans don't want to help them. We want to give them unemployment and food stamps. They want people to starve. So I'm trying to shed light on the reality of progressivism with this movie, There's No Place Like Utopia. And they have tried, either online or even using the IRS. I've had several incidences with the IRS that I've had to fight for over a year that were completely illegitimate. And you can look online that my bank account was compromised and the information was given to a leftist reporter working for a George Soros hit group in San Francisco. And they called all of our film investors and tried to intimidate them by having information that was illegal to have. So this is the fight that we're in. America, we have a problem. There is a vast left-wing conspiracy to destroy the American identity and replace it with this deadly utopian ideology. And I'm going to continue to make films and talk about it, and hopefully people will see. I think the people I met in Chicago and Detroit know very well what's going on.
Let me ask you this, Joel, and I'm almost out of time, but this is a very simplistic question, but I'm sure it's going to take a long, very lengthy answer. How dangerous is Barack Obama?
I think when we elect a person with a hidden background, hidden personal background, his entire family history he lied about. Number one, we're vulnerable internationally. Don't think that every foreign leader has not investigated and knows that Obama is not the son of the Kenyan goat herder. They know all about his entire life journey in the little-known world of American Marxism. So you cannot have a leader where foreign governments could expose him and destroy him just by exposing information. That in itself is very dangerous. Secondly, when someone runs on an agenda and says, I'm going to do all these things, I'm going to cut the deficit in half, I'm going to bring people together, and then does the very opposite, intentionally, and then agitates and uses the presidency to agitate groups against each other, it's anti-American. It's the very opposite of how our system works. Truth and honesty is very important in politics. And when you go down a road of lies and manipulating the electorate, telling them you're going to do one thing and intentionally do the opposite, democracy is in danger. And I hope people will see the film this summer. We're opening in Denver in July. We'll be announcing the theaters this week. And anyone can please see the trailer. There's no place like utopia.com.
Will there be an opportunity to perhaps buy it on a DVD? I mean, what are the opportunities for people in other parts of the country, i.e. southern Idaho, all over other parts of the United States?
Okay, well, we are starting in Denver. Then we're expanding to 10 markets, late July, early August. And we should be in 2,000 theaters by the end of August, so almost everywhere. What people can do in the meantime, you can hit the website, there's no place like utopia.com, see the trailer, and then go to the theaters link. On the theaters link, it says help bring There's No Place Like Utopia to your city. If you click there and send us an email, we send those out to all the theater districts through the theater chain buyers. And when they see all the people in different parts of the country that are requesting it, it helps us to get it everywhere.
Absolutely. Well, you can bank on the fact that I'll do everything I can to get it in this area. Filmmaker Joel Gilbert produced The Dreams from My Real Father back in 2012. Now with a new film, There's No Place Like Utopia. All I can say is God bless you for your efforts, and I'm going to have you back on after I have a chance to see the film. Thank you, Joel, for being on the program this morning.
Thanks so much for having me.
God bless. Thank you. That is one very important film to see. There's No Place Like Utopia, made by filmmaker Joel Gilbert, and we will get a copy of that film, and hopefully somebody locally will have it in one of the theaters. We'll do our best to get it here. Don't forget Brad Little for Lieutenant Governor. He wants your vote tomorrow on May 20th. Brad brings extensive business and leadership experience to his job as Lieutenant Governor. His lifetime in Idaho helps him understand our great state, the people, and the values. And, of course, being an Idaho rancher and small businessman, wants to help Idaho grow and raise the incomes and create more jobs. Brad Little for Lieutenant Governor. Vote tomorrow, May 20th. Paid for by Senator Dean Cameron to re-elect Lieutenant Governor Brad Little. Also, I want to remind you, too, as I go through my pile of stuff here, Bill Baker is seeking first term as Jerome County Commissioner from District 1. His government expertise comes from 35 years career with the BLM, where he held the position of Twin Falls District Manager and was responsible for the annual budgets of over $20 million. He's got the time right now to obligate and the ability to serve the residents of Jerome County with objective and educated views, and he's committed to having the best and most efficient government they can in Jerome County while still living within their means. He wants to be your county commissioner for District 1. Bill Baker, paid for by Bill Baker for Jerome County Commissioner. Coming up next hour, we're going to have Eric Snar, the sheriff of Minidoka County, running for re-election. He's going to be here in the studio with us, and I want you to be sure and tune in, and if you have questions, just give him a call. Also want to say thank you very much to Senator from District 25, a local farmer for over 40 years and a man that knows all about the water issues and agricultural issues, and that's Senator Jim Patrick. We certainly appreciate everything he's done for us with the Ag Security Bill, and he urges you to get out and vote on May 20th tomorrow. Let your voice be heard. Jim, of course, Vice Chair of the Commerce and Human Resources Board, Agricultural Affairs, Education Committee. Jim Patrick, Senator from District 25, paid for by Jim Patrick for Senator, District 25. We'll be back right after we have this word from our main station with Sheriff Eric Snar.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Welcome back, Zeb at the Ranch, and we're going to have Sheriff Eric Snar on the program with us momentarily. Don't forget, too, Representative from District 25, Seat A, Maxine Bell. She urges you to go to the polls tomorrow and vote. Our nation, and especially Idaho, needs people to exercise their voting privileges and be a voice. Vote tomorrow, May 20th, and be a responsible, patriotic American. Paid for by District 25 Representative Maxine Bell, a proven leader for the gem state of Idaho. Ladies and gentlemen, with me in the studio, and he wasn't sure he could make it over today, but I'm glad he's here face-to-face on the mic, and we say good morning to the Minidoka County Sheriff running for re-election, Eric Snar. Eric, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Oh, I got to turn your mic on. It works better when I turn the switch on, doesn't it? Go ahead and say that again.
Good morning.
It's good to have you here. You've been the sheriff for how long over in Minidoka County?
Almost 10 months.
10 months, and now you're running for re-election. It seems like, boy, every time you turn around, you got to do something new, huh?
Yes.
Has it been exciting and a good job for you so far being the Minidoka County Sheriff?
Absolutely.
What's the number one thing that you've appreciated and learned being the sheriff of a huge agricultural county?
You know, the people. The people that I've been out in contact, especially within this last month, have been really forthcoming and talking to me and giving me some of their ideas and thoughts tell me that their prayers are with me. It's been very interesting sitting down and visiting with the folks that I've been able to.
Now, you said something just a moment ago that you wanted to mention about some people that you also work with. What was that?
Yes, my heart and thoughts go out in prayers to the members of the East End Fire Department as they go through this tragic accident that happened over the weekend. They lost one of their firefighters there. These are people in our community that we work with every day.
Oh, man, that is so sad, and I really respect and appreciate your having that sympathy go out to those folks this morning. 18 years in law enforcement. Boy, I tell you, I bet you've seen a lot of changes in 18 years, haven't you?
Yes, I have.
Good or bad?
Very good. Things have progressed as technology advances. The training of the officers advances as well.
Now, when technology changes, I mean, is there a group somewhere in the United States that does all the studies and checks out all the new innovative ideas for law enforcement? Where do all these ideas come from?
A lot of them come from the companies who make those kinds of gadgets. They also train law enforcement with them. They always keep us up informed on them. You go to a lot of the cyber type crimes, you have to get the cyber type of training as well.
Now, you're sheriff currently of a large rural county, Minidoka County, and do you have difference of law enforcement as compared to somebody in a more metropolitan area?
Yes, they will have a lot larger officers in their department. With myself included, there's 18 sworn officers in Minidoka County for just our office.
And how big an area is Minidoka County as far as you having to make sure that you have the police force necessary?
Yeah, we could always use more police force, but however, coming up with more police force, increase in taxes.
Yeah.
We're able to get by with what we have right now. However, I would like to at least put on another deputy later on this fall. But it just depends on how much monies of the tax base comes in.
When you sit down as a sheriff of any county, it's not just like Matt Dillon sitting behind a desk looking at wanted posters, is it?
No.
Give us a kind of a day in the life of a sheriff type thing.
I can't speak for the other sheriffs, but at my office, I start out at 7 o'clock in the morning. I go into the office, check the civil papers, start my day out, go see what's in my boxes. I will respond to calls to help the deputies out on the street.
I need you to move a little closer to that, Eric, if you would.
Sorry.
Thank you. That's all right. Go ahead.
I will. I'm a working sheriff. I believe in helping out my guys. I know I get a lot of questions of why do you serve civil papers? Civil papers are one of the jobs that you don't want to have back up inside the sheriff's office. You can get too far behind on those.
I see.
But I'll respond to calls and help the deputies out on the crime scenes, holding a tape measure, directing traffic, doing what they need me to do. I'm there to assist them.
What is the number one, and I'm not trying to pin you down on this thing, or any sheriff in any county, but what's the number one problem in your county right now for law enforcement? Is it the drugs? Is it gangs? Is it a combination? What's the number one thing that you got to worry about?
Drugs.
Really?
Yes.
You said that emphatically.
Yes. Drug issues are in everybody's community. I know that I will not be able to take all the drugs off the streets, but I can help suppress them. The supply and the demand is there so much.
Really?
We take down one of the dealers, somebody there to take their spot within a couple of days.
Does the general public, the people you work for and serve in the county, do they really understand how insidious this problem is?
I think some of them do, some of them do not.
And what can you as a sheriff's office, or what can we as people in the media do to better inform people?
Get the word out, but not everybody takes the newspaper.
Yeah.
Not everybody reads, gets the news.
And unfortunately, not everybody listens to this program. We've got to do something about that.
Yes, absolutely.
But seriously, I think there's a lot of naive attitudes by people thinking that the drug problem and the drug wars have been dissipated, but you say they're growing.
Yes. A lot of our recent cases have been so big that the amounts and the time that the officers spent into it locally, that they've carried across state lines and gone into other states.
What kind of a problem are we talking about? And I don't mean to sound naive either, but is it a problem with the severely hard drugs? Is it the marijuana? Is it the meth? What's the number one problem?
Methamphetamine.
Really?
Yes, and don't think that marijuana is just marijuana. Marijuana is still a multi-billion-dollar-year business.
You know, Eric, I got to ask you this, and caller will be there in just a second. Stand by, don't go away. Was it wrong? I think it was, what they did in Colorado to legalize pot.
I believe so.
And explain why.
I've been to neighborhoods in other states where I've been trained through the Drug Enforcement Administration on how to see what marijuana looks like from an aerial view.
Yeah.
And see those neighborhoods as you fly over those neighborhoods when they make it legalized in California, and see the problems that they have in California. I don't want to see those problems here in Idaho.
Really?
Yes.
Caller, go ahead with your question, please, for Sheriff Eric Snar.
Yes, Sheriff, when you have what Obama has recently done with the illegal aliens and releasing them, can you go into detail how this can affect us and you as a sheriff? And then also, if you could also answer, when we have the overreach of the BLM with Cliven Bundy and the sheriff down there in Clark County drugged his feet until the pressure was so heavy on Clark County Sheriff that they had to send the calls to the public relations department at the Clark County Police Department, at the Las Vegas Police Department, because the Clark County Sheriff couldn't handle it. Now, it took him a while to wake up and do what he should have done in the beginning, is protect the constituents of the county. So, protection, the sovereignty of the county, and then what Obama did by releasing all these criminals. I'll hang up.
Now the caller brings up an excellent point, Eric, and I was going to talk to you about this during the half hour. I thought what the president did, and I'm not trying to paint you into a corner politically by saying this, but I think you'll agree what the president did to usurp and bypass and step over the law and let 36,000 felons, murderers, rapists, assault perpetrators, etc., just back out on the streets. I listened to some of the sheriffs that were on television over the weekend talking about this, and that's a slap in your face.
Absolutely. These people are back on our streets, in our communities. This is something that, have they been reformed? Have they been rehabilitated? I seriously doubt so. These people are back out on our streets. We'll end up dealing with them again.
So you've got to go possibly and reconstruct the scenario if they perpetrate another crime, which many of them will, against society, and you've got to arrest them all over again, and you're looking at another kind of a fishing story, catch and release all over.
Yes. If we end up picking them back up again, put them back into jail, and have to go through the system again.
The county sheriff, and there's a lot of people that arbitrate this, but according to the Constitution, the county sheriff is the man. You really are the Matt Dillon. I'll use that phrase again. Whether it's a federal issue where they come into your county or whatever, you really are the boss. How would you have related differently, perhaps, than what happened to the sheriff down in Clark County over the Bundy deal? And move real close to that mic, please.
If they showed up to my county, me being the supreme law enforcement officer in the county, they need to come see their sheriff in that county before they act on anything. It's up to my job to decide what documents they have, review those documents, check with my legal advisor before we act on anything at their request.
Very well said. Caller, good morning with your question for Sheriff Eric Snar. Go ahead, please.
Yes, Sheriff. I have a question for you. I've seen you out campaigning in your county vehicle and others of your staff. Is that ethical use of our tax dollars, do you think?
I'll have him answer that on the air. Go ahead, Eric.
No, it is not. The only thing I do in my county vehicle is drive by and I might straighten up a sign that's been knocked over.
Okay. Are you still there, caller? Do you have a rebuttal or what?
He's gone.
He's gone. All right. Thanks, Gina.
Can I say something else?
Yeah, please. Go ahead. I wish you would.
Most of my campaigning is done after hours, after I go home at the sheriff's office at night in my own vehicle.
And you had mentioned that to me, I think, on one of our phone calls, as a matter of fact. You had mentioned that.
Yes. I usually campaign up through until it gets dark, past dark, and then I go around and straighten up signs at night and often get home at times after 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock in the morning.
Do you find that there's a lot more scrutiny today on law enforcement officials than there used to be? And maybe it's a good thing. I don't know. But what are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. We live in a glass house. The public sees us doing something wrong, whether that must be right in the public's eyes because the sheriff's doing it or one of the officers is doing that. Mm-hmm. But with what's happened recently here in the past, we're under more scrutiny, especially in Minidoka County.
Which brings, I'm going to be blunt on this program. You have had to follow in some pretty bad footsteps, if you will, and try to restore a lot of integrity and honesty to the office. That's not been easy, has it?
Has not.
Care to elaborate?
Yes. I took over in some of the deepest, darkest days of Minidoka County, and law enforcement, especially throughout the state of Idaho, looked towards our county, what happened with our former sheriff. This is something that I've had to deal with by going into the office, was appointed, entrusted from the commissioners to take over the sheriff's office. It's been a daily challenge of mine to go to the office, to bring up the morale within the department, to turn around and gain that public's trust back. I know that this is going to be a long task. It's going to be several years in the making to gain the public's trust back. To get it back to where it was the office before, it's going to take some time.
What about the morale? You mentioned it just a moment ago, morale of the deputies and the rest of the staff. You've really got to be kind of a cheerleader to get everybody on the same page, don't you?
Absolutely. There's decisions that I've made that's been for the betterment of the department. I might have not been the most popular guy inside the office. If I make everybody happy at once, I have compromised myself. Mm-hmm. Somebody's going to be disgruntled about one of the decisions that I make. Somebody might be disgruntled today, but happy tomorrow.
Eric, when I do a break right now for the weather, I want to come back and I want to talk about, being that it's a rural county, your thoughts about guns and private citizens with their own source of protection, etc. I want to have you elaborate on that a little bit, okay?
I will.
All right, thank you. Right now it's time for the weather, and the weather this hour is brought to you by Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road in Jerome, 324-7657. Scarrows Meats, locally owned custom meat processor for over 20 years, serving southern Idaho. Quality products at very reasonable rates. Expert meat cutting, and believe me, they're selling taste one bite at a time. Here is the weather.
Partly sunny skies for today. Isolated showers and thunderstorms expected by this afternoon. Going to be a little bit breezy. Winds out of the west, right around 10 miles an hour. Expect a high of 63 for today. Tonight, mostly cloudy. Slight chance of showers. Wind's going to die down. Low of 42. Currently sitting at 53 degrees. Here's KBAR Studios.
Thank you very much, Gina. And right now, don't forget, Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road in Jerome, 324-7657. Selling taste one bite at a time. Don't forget, tomorrow, of course, Representative Clark Kaufman of Filer, area farmer and small businessman running for re-election for state representative in District 25 Seat B. He has received the Ag All-Star Award for his voting record in both 2013 and 2014, and he received a 100% voting score from the Idaho Water Users Association. He wants everybody to go vote tomorrow. Representative Clark Kaufman running for re-election in District 25 Seat B, paid for by Kaufman for Idaho State Representative, District 25 Seat B, Debbie Kaufman, Treasurer. We're on the air this half hour with Sheriff Eric Snar from Minidoka County running for re-election. Eric, I have long maintained that, especially in rural areas, and for that matter anywhere, I think people have the right to defend themselves because the police cannot be everywhere, anywhere in just a matter of minutes. What are your thoughts about people protecting themselves?
You have the right as a citizen to protect yourself. I believe in the Bill of Rights, the Second Amendment, for your right to bear arms. It's part of the Constitution. It's also the Constitution of the state of Idaho. I support that. I know that there's a lot of controversy out there about the enhanced concealed weapons permit. Mm-hmm. Myself and the Sheriff Heward of the Cache Sheriff's Office kind of started something off here a couple of months ago by offering free enhanced concealed weapons permit classes sponsored by us at the Sheriff's Office, some for us to give back to the community. Our tax dollars have trained our firearms instructors to maintain their certificates. Mm-hmm. have used to pay that money for them to go do that, to train us officers.
I see.
In turn, these officers turn around and open up their own private business to charge the community for those enhanced concealed weapons permits. We feel that giving this back to the community is something to return to the community. Are other tax dollars being spent on training the citizens? Yes. It's not overtime money. This is the monies that deputies normally on duty, and it's just part of their regular workday that we have them do to do the enhanced concealed weapons permit class. I've already held one of those classes. The second two are coming up in June and then again in August.
Eric, there is I've never seen it as bad as it is right now, with former Mayor Bloomberg of New York City trying to stick $50 million into fighting guns and the private ownership of guns, fight the NRA, and try to run them out of business. But yet, out in the rural area, we need protection. And like I said, when we call you as the sheriff's office of Minidoka County, you can't be there in a rural area, just with a click of a finger, and people have to know what to do and protect themselves. What about the general public? Are they becoming more aware of what their laws and their rights are, and also using weapons to protect themselves? Are they aware of these courses?
Some of them are. Some of them are not. When they go to the concealed weapons permit class, is the basic. If they take that through a private attorney or something, a class to get that permit, some of those laws are being covered. However, if you go to the enhanced, those laws are being covered.
Now, when you say enhanced, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I want you to explain to me and my audience. I have a concealed weapons permit, and but are there limitations and states that won't honor it, and we have to be really careful?
Yes, the basic concealed weapons permit, I believe, is only valid in 29 other states. Right now, the Attorney General's office checks on this, I would assume monthly, to see if another state will pick up and recognize an enhanced concealed weapons class. An enhanced picks up 4 other states. I know it picks up Nevada and the state of Washington right now that adds to it. Idaho recognizes the other states' concealed weapons permits. Mm-hmm. Not everybody will recognize Idaho's.
Eric, as far as the months that you've had as sheriff of Minidoka County, what are your prime motivations to try to correct or do better? What's your number one thing? Is it the drugs? Is it gangs? What's your number one thing that you'd really like to see corrected in Minidoka County?
The drugs, obviously, is the number one thing.
Yeah.
The next one is getting the public's trust back, having faith in your sheriff's office. I am their sheriff. This is their office, not my office.
And so what are you saying? You want people to kind of have an open door policy, open phone policy? What kind of things would you make to the open public or the public to make it more open and transparent?
My door is always open to them for their thoughts and concerns. Mm-hmm. To come and call me.
Okay.
Come by and see me.
All right. And sit and visit, bring coffee and milk or cookies and ice cream, right?
Yes.
Okay. Caller, good morning. You have just a minute or so. Go ahead, please.
Okay, just a couple of quick questions, and then I'll let you go back. With your concealed weapons permits, it's my understanding that if there's an accident or something during training, where's the liability of that? Who covers that if the sheriff is teaching the classes? And then also, I have several acquaintances who, through the small businesses in the area, they offer the weapons classes also. And is it really right for our sheriff's department to be in business in competition with our local businesses? So I'll let you answer those. Thank you.
Okay, Eric, if you'd respond to that, please.
Okay. In reference to the businesses that are in local, I know that some of those officers are sworn deputies, sworn police officers for different agencies. There might be some private attorneys or some NRA people, but we're not in business to compete with them. We're merely taking 45 people this entire year and allowing them to take an enhanced concealed weapons class. Me personally, if I had to finance an enhanced concealed weapons class, I would have to save up for a couple months and hopefully that some unexpected bills don't come in to take that class. I'm not going to sign up and take this class for free. I know that your tax dollars have already been spent on this. These individuals that are in the private business, that are in law enforcement, are turning around and making money back on the taxpayers. Since we've had this first class, my instructor has told me that a few people have contacted him back and want more advanced training in reference to that, so they can get that type of training. That is not free from the sheriff's office. That he will actually charge them for. As far as the liability out there, when you take my firearms instructor, I believe he has an insurance policy for their own business. There's actually 3 of them in there. They have their own insurance policy. That training that we used as a sheriff's office, as your tax dollars have sent that officer over to take that course, he goes out and trains on his own. Technically, there is still some liability that could come back to the sheriff's office. He got his original training from law enforcement. When we're teaching our class, yeah, there's some liability there, but it's about the same liability as far as our insurance carrier, iCrimp.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Eric, I've only got a couple of minutes left, and I wanted to ask, too, do you think that the general public now, living in a rural area, whether they're farmers, ranchers, whatever, do they understand the laws as to how and when they can use a weapon to protect themselves or their property?
I believe they do. These are businessmen.
And they understand what can be done and can't be done with a weapon.
Well, if they're going to take somebody down at gunpoint, I mean, they're obviously going to somehow let law enforcement know. They're not going to. They're going to try to hold them there until we can get there.
Are there classes, and this is in regards to any county sheriff, but are there classes to where sheriffs can sit down and A, B, C, D, this is what you can do, this is what you can't do, you may not or may hold somebody at gunpoint until the sheriff's office arrives? I mean, do people understand what their rights are as far as protecting themselves, family, and property?
You would hope that they understood the rights, but to go through and have each household know what their rights are, we don't sit down with them at that point in time. I mean, these are businessmen, business owners. They some of them might not even be citizens. They might just be residents here. But I can't tell you what they know.
In regards to the drugs and drug enforcement, boy, cut the head off the snake and hopefully the rest of the snake will stop shaking and die. But there's a real problem here, bigger. I mean, it seems like every year, every election, I don't care who it is, they keep talking about the drug problem is increasing. What can we do to stop the drug problem? I mean, is there a magic wand?
You know, we need to...
And I've got a minute left here, real fast.
There's a lot of things that we can do as a community. I know that until we get the proper programs to get people off the abuse, we have to be able to stop the supply and the demand. I know if we don't stop the people, the users, get them some help to get through that. I'm told that methamphetamine you can be hooked just by one time.
I've heard that too.
But without getting them the help so they can stop, it's going to be hard because the demand is always there. Somebody's going to be there to take their place when you do take down one of the major drug dealers.
Absolutely. We'll have a wrap-up word in just a moment. Don't forget our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you with the very best of tires. And along with the tires, remember they've got the best in brake service, the very best in front-end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries, everything you need for safe driving. And as I mentioned, free lifetime tire and mileage care, free flat tire repairs, free tire rotations, free tire rebalancing, and free air checks, free brake and alignment checks. They serve you. Please stop in and see the very best. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, John on Poline and Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Got 30 seconds left. Eric, please tell everybody that you'd like to vote for you.
I would encourage people to get out and vote tomorrow. Use your constitutional right, your obligation to go out and vote and voice your opinion. I would appreciate your support tomorrow as you cast your vote. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sheriff Eric Snar, current sheriff of Minidoka County, running for re-election. Thank you for being on the program this morning. I'm glad we could do it face-to-face instead of on the phone.
Thank you.
I appreciate that. Tomorrow on the program, we've got a busy, busy day. It is primary day tomorrow. Go vote. And while you're driving, listen, because we're going to have a representative back in Washington from the Institute for Energy Resources talking about the Keystone Pipeline. Dr. History is going to be on, and many other folks. So be sure and tune in tomorrow morning at 8:06. We'll ride the horse for 3 hours right here. Zeb at the Ranch on KBAR 1230, streaming live on the internet, zebbell.com. God bless. We'll see you tomorrow morning. Go vote.